Bai Yan's return, for the reason why he dared to be so arrogant just now was entirely because he thought he knew their strength, but clearly he's wrong in how easily Dragoni gobbled up that guy. If she's not at least a high-level saint rank, then how can she overcome that guy so easily? I'll repeat myself. On that day, have you ever thought about the consequences? Bai Yan encroaches in on the big, bulky man, her lips curving into a smirk. Each step she took was equivalent to a drum hammering at his poor heart. Wu Xiong's had fallen into a panic by now, and when he backed up, he didn't even realize there are things behind himself, causing a series of crashes and wine to spill over from the table. Run! After a quick exchange between the patrons, everyone in here promptly began to flee for the outside upon realizing the spiraling situation. Surprisingly, while these cowards made a run for the door, Bai Yan remains unresponsive and never shot glance to her back. Towards this picture, Wu Xiong knew this was his only chance as well. Unfortunately though, right as he's about to run forward as well. One step, that's all. That's when the crowd came running right back inside after they ran out. This was a huge red flag for Wu Xiong, so his feet petrified on the spot as he stared into the woman's horrific gaze. What happened? He grabbed at the nosy youth's collar who first started the rowdy discussion earlier in here, showing a despairing face. A lot of monsters. There's a lot of demon monsters outside the entrance. Monsters? What are you afraid of? Is it the Fox family? Is it the Fox clan after they got wind of this woman's return and purposely came to ambush her? No, it's not the Foxes. What? Wu Xiong was stunned. If it's not he Foxes, then who can it be? Wing Clan. It's those monsters from the Wing Clan. There are a lot of them. They've surrounding the whole tavern. The youngster breaks into tears, crying out as he burst forth his words. He never participated in that chase, so technically this has nothing to do with him. If anything, he's regretting the part about visiting the tavern today at all, just for a single drink. Damn it, why did I step out my home today? Now my life is in the hands of these monsters. Acting like she's not seeing the grim white faces of everyone around herself, Bai Yan continues to stroll towards the big guy with an increasingly intimidating air. Looking at that cold, frosty smile, Wu Xiong instinctively made a gulp, and then without anyone expecting it, plop, he actually got on his knees and begged. Oh, great merciful, I won't ever have the galls to make trouble for you again. Out of consideration for my blindness, please spare me and not have that dragon eat me. Wu Xiong's not blind, nor was he dumb by any stretch of the word, despite his gruffy appearance. Anyone who could make it to the middle level of the saint rank are genius among geniuses. That's why he could discern the little Missy's strength was far superior to his own just based on the fact that she could eat the first man. Ignoring the sad image laid before her eyes, Bai Yan instead spoke to the youth nearby. You go to the Fox's manor. Go tell them I'm back. The young man became dumbfounded, his eyes turning left and right for confirmation from his peers. What does she mean by that? Is she letting me leave? If that's the case, then I can make a run for it. This world is so big anyways. Finding another city to hide in is easy. I'm not going to die here just for the sake of this Wu Xiong. Don't think about running away. Bai Yan read through the youth's thought and chuckled at his obvious face. I'll have the Wing Clan follow you with their people, so don't try anything funny if you value your life. Crying again. Yes, I will go to inform the Fox family without fail. A demon's slave. 1. Once the youth in question finishes leaving the tavern, Bai Yan didn't start her carnage, nor did she attack anyone. Instead, she gave them all a sweeping glance of her gaze before taking a seat on one of the cleaner chairs here and began tapping her finger on the tabletop. Those who chased me that day. Who else do you remember? She asked the big guy with that unchanging smile. No answer came, only a hanging silence in the air. It's fine if you don't say, just that. Lazing against the back of the chair, she stretches out her arm and pulls Dragoni over into her embrace, those fingers caressing through the girl's hair with a sly smirk. Those people of mine outside are hungry. If you're not afraid of them tearing into you to feed, then go ahead and cover for those involved. Though that remark was soft and melodic to the ear, it's the same as a death threat to Wu Xiong. Shuddering, he raises his head in horror. I'll speak. Without ado, The big guy spilled the beans on everyone he knew that was part of the chase. Thankfully, his memories are good, so the names came easy. It's not like he doesn't want to resist. After all, this was the same as selling out everyone in the city, meaning a target was now firmly planted on his back from now on. Half an hour, find everyone on the list, and bring them here. Don't think about escaping. Even if you run to the ends of the world, I will have ways to find and turn you to ash. Wu Xiong's heart shuddered at those words, his face white and full of despair. Great merciful! What if they won't come with me? What then? Turning sharp at the suggestion, Bai Yin had an air of dominance. It matters not if they are willing. My subordinates will follow you, and when they refuse, they will take them whether they agree or not. Your job is to lead them, and that's all you need to do. The big guy gulped at the impending event, showing a face uglier than watching his own manhood go limp. Please, lady, if I were to find them for you, can you spare this dog here? Showing contempt at this shameless bastard. First off, dogs are also an ethnic group among the demon race, so your words are not a plea to my ear, it's an insult to said dogs. Secondly, you don't have the qualification to bargain with me. Don't forget, this whole thing was caused by you. As the leader, you think I will let the mastermind go? Wu Xiong's face was now so pale that it's hard to find any traces of blood on his face. He knows Bai Yan's not going to spare him. Now the issue was, what does she plan to do with him? But suddenly adding this in, Bai Yan's lip curved into a smirk and raised a hopeful light in the man's eye. If you can't even manage to do what I've given you, then dying will be the least of your worry. In that instant, that flare of light had died down again. Even so, Wu Xiong's not going to give up just yet. He's made it so far in life. He won't allow himself to perish so easily. Lady, I will go right away. Maybe she will at least let me live if I perform well. In a flash, the man's big, hulky figure was gone and out of sight, disappearing from the eyes of the patrons left in this tavern. Lady, everything was orchestrated by Wu Xiong. We here did nothing, so can we leave? One of the braver patrons decides to ask after losing their nerve and patience. A demon's slave, too. Do you really expect me to believe your hands are clean and abstain of blood? After the demon realm seal was lifted, the amount of battles between human and demons are endless here in the border. The heart of these patrons quivered, unsure of what Bai Yin was implying by that. The demons are filthy, dirty monsters. What's wrong with us killing said monsters? What's more, most of those demons would commit suicide as soon as they are captured. Even if our hands are stained with blood, what does their death have to do with us? Despite their inner protest, none of them dared to say it aloud, only hanging their head low and avoiding eye contact. Fully aware of the discontent of everyone, Bai Yin slowly gets up from the chair and stood before them all, her face cold and daring. Unfortunately, I am a woman that doesn't like others touching my things. All the demons in this world are my subordinate. Since Ditsang is busy preparing for war with those in the celestial realm and can't pay attention to these minor details along the border, I naturally have the duty to handle these things for him. Stunned looks were aplenty among them all, their eyes full of shock when staring at Bai Yan's figure. Why is that name so familiar? And what did she say? Going to war with the celestial realm? Quit joking. What sort of place is the celestial realm? Nothing but a measly group of monsters. How can they even dare to fight those divinities up there? Then, lady, what do we have to do to make you let us go? A man in a linen-colored robe asks with a stuttering voice. For this individual, he doesn't care what happens between the two realms. He only wants to know if his life could be saved today. It's not impossible to let you live. Whatever you owe the demon race will be repaid using your own life as slaves. 4 generations and forever, you and your descendants will never escape that debt. A debt must be repaid, and a blood debt must be repaid with blood or life. In Bai Yan's view, the entirety of the demon race are her subordinates. If they commit a wrong, then it's her right and duty to punish them, but others are not permitted to touch them unless she allows it. What's more, it's undeniable that she holds partial responsibility for the perished demons here at the border. They died while fighting for the sake of the demon realm, and it's her careless remark to Ditsang who started the whole war. Oh lady, you might as well just kill me then. The linen-robed man made a crying face. Be slaves to the demon race, and my descendants as well? She might as well just outright kill me. That way I will be happier. Crossing her arms around the chest, Yin arches a brow. Dragoni, is the man you swallowed still alive in your belly? Ugh, hi. Blinking her eyes in confusion over the sudden inquiry, Dragoni answers honestly without any forethought on how terrifying her words were. Yes, mother, he is still alive. Without anyone helping me, I have only digested his leg. Can you spit him out? Yin asks. She's an obedient and good child. Using action to show this, the little Missy's mouth slowly grew larger and larger until it's big enough to cover her whole body. Then with saliva and blood, the perverted man from before was spat out in one single throw-up. In this second, not a single thing dared to move. It's so quiet that even a needle dropping on the ground could be heard. The reasoning? It's because the perverted man from before was now laid before their eyes. And just like the little Missy said, only the leg was digested, and those sparkling white bones were free for all to see. As for the distorted face of pain and agony from the man, nobody wanted to look at it because the corrosive green liquid had eaten through the outer skin, so only the flesh and veins were showing now. This man, is he actually alive? A demon's slave, 3. Unable to bear it anymore, the patrons all turned their heads away, not willing to spare another glance at the partially digested man. However, the faint melodic voice of their worst nightmare wasn't going to let them do that. When Yin spoke again, almost everyone jolted in some way over her voice. Dragoni, this man is too filthy with all those polluted elements in his body. Now is good. There's so many people here in this tavern for you to enjoy. This time that linen-robed man who wanted to plead for his life was now openly sobbing in tears. Lady, I'm only joking. A slave? Those from a celestial realm aren't taking us as people anyways. Being a slave is no different. Please don't let her eat me. What's there to fear in death? Nothing. Only a split moment of pain before it's over. But going in this fashion, being slowly digested and corroded alive, that's too much to take. This person just couldn't accept such a fate. Dragoni unfortunately didn't understand Yin was only using her as an intimidation, so her outburst was that of grievance and unwilling. Mother, I won't eat this man since he's going to be your slave, but can I eat the others here? I've been hungry for so many days already. Didn't that Grandpa Fay feed you while I was in closed-door training? She asks with a warm and kind face, totally different from when confronting these other humans. The little dragoness shakes her head pitiably. Be good. We'll get you whatever you like once we're done here. Giving the young Missy a rub on the head, her attention promptly swept back to her targets. As for these people, you can go ahead and eat anyone who disobeys. No need to spit them back out. The tavern patrons all shuddered for the umpteenth time today. They all had a dreaded look on their faces, which quickly changed to despairing acceptance once they finally looked down to the wriggling mass of flesh and bone on the floorboard. Mistress, I'm willing to be your slave. Please spare me. Oh, I don't want to be this little girl's food. I'm very good. Please don't let her eat me. Whatever resistance they had was now gone, their willpower shattered from the repeated blows of shock and great scare. This method of death, it's too cruel, too cruel. No, Yin faintly chuckles at their misconception. Your mistress and master aren't going to be me. It's the demons as a whole. You are going to serve them all for the rest of your lives. This world has always followed the natural order of strong eating the weak. Back then, demons are inferior to humanity, so they could only be hunted for their skin, core, and flesh in exchange for material wealth. Well, now things have changed, and it's time she got things in order to balance the unequal exchange. Mother. The little Missy timely tugs at her sleeve, those eyes bright and worried. Don't be sad, mother. I will help you protect the demons of this world. Moved by how filial her goddaughter was, Yin couldn't help but give the girl's cheek a pinch to show how much she adores this appearance from Dragoni. A demon slave for okay. In this life, the only one she personally took action to kill was that snake and the first elder's goddaughter. And that's only because both women wanted to either do her son harm or frame herself. As for those ancient creatures inside the holy domain, they're nothing but illusions created by the great being who first managed to construct the secluded dimension. Pity, though, these humans are different from herself. They never showed mercy to the demons, only greed for material wealth when hunting others. And that's something she already confirmed by tasking Faye to probe the reasoning for the main conflict here in the border city. Dragoni. I remember there's another kind of contract between humans and demons. That is the anti-contract, correct? It's true human beings are able to contract various demons through a forceful ritual, but it also means it could work vice versa. The only real prerequisite was to have the demon be stronger than said human during the process. Hence the common practice of the one commanding the ritual to always be stronger. Curling those little brows, Dragoni muses for a moment before answering. I've just searched through my memories. I think there is such a contract, mother. Good then. Bayin pleasantly smiles. Go ahead and use the anti-contract on these people. I want them to be the demon's servant for the rest of their lives. The people in the pub were appalled by the demand. They originally thought their enslavement only meant servitude like a lord to a subordinate, not something drastic like becoming a demon's familiar. Yin. Contracts are divided into 3 types: equality, servitude, and slavery. Mo Lishang decides to join in to offer his insight. Equality is, of course, when both sides enter into a mutual contract on fair terms. Such a binding will do nothing but deeply bound both parties together through this method. As for the servant type, it's the more commonly used one when someone wants to make another bound to them. However, once the master's soul is destroyed, the servant in question will also die. Bayan didn't question the authenticity of that knowledge. She and Deetsong are also in a contract, the equality type, while Tsing, Yi, and Lil Rice are in the secondary kind of servitude. As for the last slave type, it's the harshest of them all. Whatever the master says, the slave must obey the order to the teeth. If defied, the pain they would experience is worse than death itself. Or so that's what they say. Mo Lishang then casts his examining gaze across these people, that face showing no pity. I believe the slave type is perfect for this bunch. After all, they've killed so many already, so it's only right they pay for their crimes. Back when he didn't have Piggy, Molly, by his side, the teen himself never felt much from seeing the death of demons. But that's changed through the relationship he shared with the little rascal. He wants equal treatment for his friend. Whether it be demons or humans, everything must be fair. Finding there are no reaction from the bunch yet, Bayin decides to give them a shove. Now, make your choice. Become Dragoni's slave, or do you wish to take a swim in her stomach? Take a swim in her stomach? Scared out of their wits, the first of them starts to cave. Great lady, I'll be a slave. Please don't have me go swim in her stomach. Mother, there's a psycho here, one. Good. Pleased by the answer, Bayin didn't make it hard for them anymore. Now I will have my daughter anti-contract you guys. Whoever disobeys and fail to complete the ritual will not be given another chance. In this city, there will only be 2 types of people, one that is enslaved by demons, the second being dead ones. Her statement was sundering, causing the patrons here to tremble profusely in anticipation for their dreaded future. Then, without any warning, a humongous force comes slamming down from above, netting them all and binding their souls to the spot. Many inherently wanted to resist, but the invisible hand had gripped onto their neck and making it difficult to breathe. Fortunately, this uncomfortable sensation passed quickly. Half a ring later, the invisible force had gone away, leaving only their souls deeply marked with a sigil and never to be erased. Mother, it worked. Dragoni happily confirms her success by throwing those arms around the woman's leg. These people are my slaves now. Well done, Bayin answers that glee with a pat of the head. After we are done here, I will reward you with a hearty meal tonight. Is it made by Mother? The little missy asks with hopeful light in those blinking eyes. Uh-huh, Bayin nods with a smile and garners a burst of giggling joy from her daughter. Brother Highness said Mother's cooking is the best, better than those chefs at the restaurant. But because he said it's too hard on Mother that he doesn't ask for it every day. Warmed by that little bit of knowledge, Yin didn't question the authenticity of those words. After all, the little steam-bun has always been the lovable son that she loves. In her view, the greatest thing to happen to her was to give birth to the boy. Lady, we've all listened to your demand. Can we leave now? The one speaking showed a flattering face with no hint of deception. However, Yan's cold returning stare had scared him so hard that he immediately shuts up. The good show isn't even here yet. What's the rush? Let's wait until the curtain is drawn first. It won't be too late then. For those listening, they have an aching suspicion today is going to be a bloody one. Center of the border city, Fox Manor. At this moment, a young-looking man has been pacing back and forth between the front gate, his face showing tension and unease. What do you want? Suddenly, a loud bark came from within the estate, scaring the frightened lad into a jolting jump. He didn't reply to that question, of course. Instead, he turns to sneak a glance at the Wing clan members hiding in a corner of the street before turning back to the guards. Nothing but a human. How dare you flaunt yourself before the fox's home? Cold in their face, one of the more daring of the guards had drawn his blade and placed it on the lad's neck. Speak, who sent you? Pale in the face, the youngster squirms with his leg before responding. I'm here to seek an audience with who Budway, or whom May will do too. Snickering at that pompous demand. Humans and demons are fire and water. Who do you think you are to make such a demand? But since you are here already, you can forget about leaving. Mother, there's a psycho here too. Swoosh. Holding a high, the guard ruthlessly slashes down. Wait! In his panic, the youth crumbles to the floor and lands, but first they're urinating his pants in the process. It's Wu Xiong who tasked me to come. He said he's caught the woman. Thankfully, his fate wasn't meant to end today. Right as the blade's about to make contact to his head, a charming cheer of a voice comes jaunting over. Hold it! Wearing a long, pink dress, this lady had the most mesmerizing charm of a seductress. I'm saved, the young lad thought, both fearing and relieved of this woman's entry. Truth was, he had originally wanted to say it was Yin who sent him here, but upon realizing the folly of that answer, he swiftly changed it to the big, bulky man's name instead. Who would willingly walk into a trap? No one, that's who. Not those clever enough anyways. The woman you're talking about, is she dressed in red and is surrounded by a little dragon girl? Gently frowning, May asks with a low voice. Yes, it's her. He nods in a hurry. The woman isn't dead after entering the demonic mountain range? The fox lady's heart sank at the thought and causes her hand to reach for the jade pendant around the waist. She may have been lucky enough to come out of the mountains, but as soon as she did so, Wu Xiong had captured her after his men became aware. Suspicious in the face, May tries testing the young lad by poking at his story. I remember Wu Xiong is not her opponent. How did he capture her in the first place? Despite hearing his heart smashing into a puddle, the young man didn't crack and hurried to explain. That woman may have survived the ordeal, but she sustained some serious injuries. That's why Wu Xiong was able to take advantage of the situation and capture her. I'm here to inform the Fox clan this news at his order. Pleased by the story, the lady smiles wildly and shot down any suspicion she had earlier. Very well, I will go with you to meet Wu Xiong then. Having said that, May turns and orders the men behind herself. Go inform my father of the news. I will go ahead and inspect that woman first. That's not a careless remark either. It's an indirect warning to the young man that her father will also be coming, so don't try anything. Yes, milady. The guard respectfully complies and went inside. Lead the way, we're going to see that woman. Okay. One couldn't even begin to describe the joy felt in the frightened lad's heart. However, he also knows better than to show his true feelings right now. As for May, she's still blissfully oblivious to the disaster awaiting her at the tavern. In the fox lady's mind, she's still calculating on how to torture Yin and rip the secrets from her mouth. Study room. Sitting in front of his desk, Budway was flipping through the books with a furrowed forehead. He doesn't understand it himself, but he's got a strange sensation that something huge was going to take place in the coming days. It's then one of the maid's servants carelessly knocked down one of the books from the shelf and exclaims from mistake, Mother, there's a psycho here, 3. Heavy in his mood. Budway snaps with irate eyes. What good do I have for a maid if you can't even do a simple little thing like that? Going white in the face, the maid servant dropped whatever she was cleaning and turned the effort into a desperate bang of the head for mercy. "My lord, please spare me. I know my wrong. Please give me one more chance. I'll do it properly from now on." Waving dismissively at this, the fox chief didn't need to do anything else after that, because the guard outside knew better than to allow this farce to continue. Truth was, this man hadn't always been this harsh to his own housemates. Just that. He's not sure why either, but lately his mood's been getting worse and worse, so any mistake from the servants would trigger his ire. Alone after the maid's been dragged away, who Budway didn't know what else to do. The room's eerily quiet after his outburst, and that's when his eyes fell upon the distracting slip of paper sticking out of the pile of books. Picking it up from the floor, his eyes widened in horror, because the picture portrayed on there was the very pendant displayed by Yan on that day. Snap! I remember now. I remember where I saw that woman's jade pendant. Not long ago, the king sent people to pass him a letter with this very picture. The contents were a message to all important individuals about the queen's identity and her identification trinket. But that day, he's already decided to come to this border city, hence his reasoning for tossing the material aside for later memorization. However, that plan became lost the following day due to unplanned events. It's no secret the Fox clan, including its branches, are all very strong demons due to its relation to the royal family. Unfortunately, that doesn't help in any way regarding their fatal weakness of having short memories. So, when shown this picture of by Yan's pendant again, who Budway's head flew into a despairing outburst of despair and rage. "Someone come, bring the second mist to me this instant." A guard outside comes in a hurry again and kneels in respect. "Chief, the mist went out already. I don't care where she went, go get her right now." He snaps in fury. Who May was his second daughter, and also his pride, that's why he never questioned her made-up story. Now to be thrown the truth of pure deceit and treachery. It's unforgivable in his eyes because it's no longer a simple little mistake of trying to seduce Deed Song anymore. It's harming and attacking the royal family. "Chief!" The guard shivers in fear, not knowing why the Fox Chief was so outraged. Just now a man claiming to be Wu Xiong's people had come to pass a message. He said the woman from the dispute the other month has been captured and is requesting the lady in your attendance over on his end. Bang! Losing his balance, who Budway completely knocks over the stuff on the table, clenching his fist tightly. "That damn girl went where? Go gather everyone this instant. We need to bring her back. She mustn't make any more mistakes. Otherwise, no one will be able to save us anymore." After dropping this order down, the Fox Chief didn't waste another second and practically threw himself out the door, his face full of unease for what's to come. "Mother, there's a psycho here for..." At the same time while all of this took place, Yu Xiong the Eagle Chief had been in the middle of looking out at the streets from a restaurant, his eyes seemingly contemplating something in his mind. Then suddenly, the door to his room were pushed open, and in came an especially scrawny yet tall-looking man. Kneeling there, "Eagle Chief, I came to inform you there's movement at the Fox's Manor." Yu Xiong pricks his brow. "What happened? Speak now." "Just earlier someone went to find Hu Mei, saying they've caught the woman from a month ago who fled into the demonic mountain range. She's currently rushing over to verify the truth of that news." The mountains? Isn't this stretch of the mountains the territory of the Wing clan? Musing over that knowledge, he paces back and forth a bit before speaking again. "I just saw a lot of the Wing clan members coming through in the city. Can it be it's related to the Queen?" "There's no mistake. It's very likely they're talking about the Queen." "Go!" All serious in his face, the Eagle Chief was rearing to get into the action. "We're leaving now? The Queen is waiting for us." "Yes, Eagle Chief. Since the Wing clan was ranked among one of the strongest ethnic races in the demon realm, similar to the Dragon clan, it's bound to raise some ruckus when they made a move today. The demons in the border city were quick to pick up on this, of course. That's why they sent their own spies to investigate the matter. However, before they could get a proper answer from their own men, the Eagles also began to move. Now that's a huge red flag for the rest of the demon clans, and they could smell the unusual air even from afar. To be perfectly clear, the humans living in this border city were nothing compared to the number of demon forces amassed at the surrounding lands. The only reason the residences here in this place could remain unharmed to this day was much thanks to the insignificant nature of this settlement. It's crummy, a backwater that yielded no worth for conquest. Now imagine a force easily able to trample them into the dirt, appearing from out of nowhere and from all directions. It's not hard to picture the level of unease and fear felt by the clueless humans. Is this the power of the demon realm? Why did they never show any sign of having this many in the region? They could have long conquered this city. Why now? Why so sudden? While things were moving away from her visible view, Hume had just arrived outside the tavern indicated by the young man. But before she stepped inside, her eyes subconsciously looked up to the big blue sky without reason. "Miss Hume, what's the matter?" asked the young lad. Shaking her head, "Nothing, let's go in." "Is it my illusion? Why does it feel so oppressive all of a sudden, like there's no light in the sky at all? Maybe I'm overthinking this." Shaking away the silly thought, Hume no longer dwelled on the matter and pushed open the door. The second she stepped inside, what welcomed here wasn't the image of a female bound by ropes. Rather, it's a bunch of men kneeling on the floor with a single female in red standing at the back of the establishment. "Mother, there's a psycho here, 5. Was it nice trying to kill me that day?" Bayin asks with a heavy smirk. Hume's face went greatly white. Turning to young man, she grits her teeth in rage. "Did you not say this woman was caught by Wu Xiong? How dare you deceive me?" Ignoring the death glare, the person instead hanged his head low and walked over to Bayan's side for safety. "If I didn't say it like that, would you have come?" You, steaming red in the face, she turns back to the mastermind in question. "If my father can chase you till you're fleeing into the mountains that day, he can do it again today." That made Bayin burst out laughing this time. "Your words. Wu Xiong also said the exact same thing earlier. And look, isn't he kneeling there begging for mercy now?" "Wu Xiong," the fox snarled, "he is only a mid-level saint rank. In comparison to my father, he's nothing. But if you are willing to give me that jade pendant in your hand, then I can consider sparing your life. As long as there's no pendant, then it's pointless if she claims to be the king's savior. There's no proof, so no one's going to believe her." Bayin could care less about why this deceitful fox wanted to buy her jade pendant. However, it did raise her intrigue. Raising a brow, her shallow smile beamed with cunning glee. "Give you my jade pendant? That's not impossible. If you come over here in person, then I'll give it to you." That immediately rouses a huffing grunt from the fox. Is this woman taking me as a stupid fool? I'm obviously not her opponent. If I go over there, then it's no different from going to my doom. "Great lady, mistress." A middle-aged man snails forward and shows an ugly-ass smile in front of Bayan's feet. "This bitch is too impudent. Please let this incompetent one hear a chance to subdue her." That smart move from the individual instantly earned him a series of angry glares from the rest in the back. They knew being opportunistic here was the smartest move to go, and it's been taken by this one and leaving them all behind. Hume, on the other hand, was stunned, as well as the young man who brought her here. They're both having a hard time believing their own ears. "Great lady? Little mistress? What the heck is going on?" Song Mu, the young man quivered, asking the peer beside himself for some answers. "What's going on here? Why are you calling her and the girl that?" "Oh, the great lady name is because of Wu Xiong. He called it first. As for little mistress," the person who was asked evokes a flattering smile when facing Dragoni. "We have all become slaves to the Great One through the anti-contract ritual. For now on, we will use our remaining lives to service the demon race in order to earn forgiveness." The young man just gawked his mouth wide open, staring at thin air for a good while before coming back to his senses. Then, without any indication, he throws himself at the little missy's leg and holds it tightly. "Little mistress, please contract me as well. I don't want to be a special existence. This group of bastards is obviously doing it for the sake of their life. If I want to live, then I must do the same." Dragoni, on the other hand, didn't reciprocate to that suddenness clinginess very well at all. Jumping backwards, the little missy's face was full of panic. "Mother, there's a psychotic pervert here." "Little mistress, Please have some mercy and contract me. I really don't want to die. Get away from me. With extreme fear, she directly stomps the young man away and hid behind by Yan's body, her face all aggrieved and puffing like a little child. Mother, there's a psycho here. 6. Mother, these humans are so scary. This is the first time I met someone who will cry to be our slave. Is he crazy? Caressing her chin, Yin had to wonder the same thing. I speculate he is. Don't worry about it. Okay, sweetie, just keep away from this sort of people lest they infect you. Okay, I'll listen to you, mother, and stay away from this guy. The casual conversation between the girls only made the young man even more anxious. He's too afraid they would kill him right after they're done with him. Hume, on the other hand, was infuriated by the picture. Biting her lower lip, that body shakes uncontrollably due to the broiling emotion. Father tried for so many months and can't get these stubborn humans to surrender. Yet this filthy, which can make them submit after she spent how long here? Numerous ideas and schemes flickered through the fox lady's mind. But in the end, the only thought that won out was to flee. She's not delusional. Hume knows the tide has changed, and it's Yin who holds all the cards, or at least until her father arrives. Are you thinking about how to delay until your father comes? Getting into a lazy posture, a sly smile creeps into Yan's face. But since I dare to come back, it means that your fox family can no longer threaten me. Sweetie, that one cry was all that's needed to summon the little missy who was still acting all fearful mere seconds ago. But instead of a frightened face, Dragoni had on an angry face as she shot death glares over to the fox lady standing at the doorway. You evil woman, try to hurt my mother. I'm going to kill you today. Mother said I can't eat people carelessly, so killing her shouldn't be a violation of that rule. Increasing her momentum, a huge gust of wind began erupting out of that tiny body, causing some of the less sturdy to tumble backwards. Among them were the young man who had just returned. He's shocked and astounded by Dragoni's immense aura, which directly causes him to make a heavy gulp in thought. I got lucky. She clearly just kicked me, and I'm alive still. Hume's eyes stared out in disbelief. High-level saint rank? You are a high-level saint rank. Damn it, this dragon girl actually made such huge advances in a measly short month. No wonder she dared to come back. It's all because of this girl. I'm going to kill you. Dragoni began to close the distance with each encroaching step. Under that oppressive air, the fox lady fearfully stepped back as well. Daughter of dragons, as a demon, why are you aiding this human? Don't forget, I am a fox, a being related to the royal family. If you harm me, then the palace won't let you go. Even if her branch has been expelled from the palace and driven to this backwater city, she's still certain the palace won't take this transgression lying down. After all, Deetsan's a fox, and she too was a fox. That's a fact and not a whimsical delusion. Of course, pretending to be the king's savior also helped her ego here, so that too. Acting like she's deaf to the threat from the other end, the little missy huffs a snort and began to release her might in full, shrouding and crushing the fox in suffocating agony. Sure enough, Hume couldn't take the force and spews blood from her mouth, turning pale white as well in the process. Stop this. If you kill me, then you will become the enemy of the entire demon realm. By then you won't have a good ending either from the endless pursuit. Hume screeches, nearly falling to her knees this time around. For those who are still clueless to Yan's identity, mainly those humans kneeling on the floorboard, they definitely got their wits rattled by that comment. It's true Budway was very high up there within the Fox clan. That's why it's possible for what she said to come true. And as slaves to this little missy, it's absolutely within reason they too would be executed by whatever hordes of demon that would come. Welcome the queen. Mother, first giving the fox a look, then back at Yin. Can I rip this woman's mouth apart? She dares to threaten you, and I don't like that. Leaning back against the chair again, Yin crosses her leg lazily. If it makes you happy, sweetie. Blooming into a brilliant smile upon getting permission, Dragoni's eyes were innocent and lovely. However, to Hume, who's about to feel the full wrath of that might, it's akin to a true monster grinning at herself. ready to tear into her flesh and devour her soul. Boom! It's then, without indication, the door to the tavern were blown apart, and the resulting force nearly sent the fox lady flying forward. Fortunately, her balance was good, and she didn't completely hit the ground. Even so, the stinging pain on her back had caused her face to twist in frustration when turning around. "Uncle Yu, you're here. This woman is going to kill me. You have to save me." Whatever negative feelings, she had quickly changed to joy once she recognizes who had come. There's also another senior who came with Yu Xiong, Eagle Chief, but since the lady was so focused on the Eagle Man, she didn't pay the other unfamiliar individual any heed. "You are Hu Budwei's daughter, Hu Mei?" Oddly enough, the Eagle Chief didn't respond in the way that she expected and acted like they never met. "What does Yu Xiong mean by that? It wasn't all that long ago when we last met. Why doesn't he recognize me?" Hu Mei thought, a tinge of panic starting to fill those foxy eyes. "Uncle Yu, I am Mayor." The fox lady forces a smile before coldly sweeping her gaze over to Bai Yan. "Do you remember the jade pendant we talked about? This woman, this deceitful witch, somehow forged a copy of it and is now flaunting it around in the public." "Jade pendant?" The Eagle Chief makes inexplicable frown. Under normal circumstances, Hu Mei would surely have caught onto the strange behavior from the other man. But since she's so overwhelmed with anger, any key details have become blind to her eyes. "That's right. She found out about my encounter with the king and is trying to impersonate as His Majesty's benefactor. Now she's using that forgery to tell the world it's hers and wants to seduce our amazing and wonderful king. Uncle Yu, such a woman mustn't be allowed to live." Just the thought of the jade pendant being in Bai Yan's hand would drive this fox lady nuts, borderline insanity at this point. Nothing but a human woman. What right and qualification does she have to be the king's benefactor? "I deserve it. Me. It should be me." Yu Xiong's expression grew, even more surprised now, like he's oblivious to what Hu Mei's talking about. A humph. The random old man next to him makes a cough. "Yu Xiong, when did your clan start to socialize with the Foxy family here? And what's the deal with the jade pendant and being the king's benefactor? What's this all about?" The old senior's aggressive gaze then swept over to the fox lady, that face growing dark and threatening. This woman really has some gals to forge the queen's very own identification token. Does she take the world as fools, and she's the only smart one? The Eagle Chief didn't want to continue with this conversation as well and barks out, "Miss, I don't know what you're talking about, nor have I ever met you before. Welcome the queen, too. Quit joking around. Back then I only said those words to hustle some details out of her, as if I would be stupid enough to admit on the spot. If the king finds out, then my clan will be screwed." The Eagle Man bitches inside, dreading the slim chance the Eagles would also be implicated due to this wench. "Uncle Yu," cracking in her heart, Hu Mei forces a smile so she doesn't look so bad. "Forgive my lack of understanding. You clearly that day. When have the Eagles become associated with traitors? Please be more respectful. I have nothing to do with you or your family." Hands crossed behind his back, the Eagle Chief huffs a grunt and pulls the forged pendant out of Hu Mei's hand using his power, causing it crumble into dust in the air. There's dismay in the fox lady's face now. She couldn't believe what she's seeing or what the Eagle Chief has done. "Someone come. Subdue this criminal," Yu Xiong coldly orders. In an instant, several heavily armored men with eagle beaks had come swarming inside the tavern, their weapons firmly aimed at the fox while the unarmed rushed ahead to pin her to the ground. "Uncle Yu, what are you doing? My father won't let you go if you touch me." Hu Mei grits her teeth as she yells out with reddening eyes. "This asshole is only picking on me because my branch of the Fox clan has been exiled. Otherwise, he would never try something like this. Ha! Your father can't even protect himself, and you still have the nerve to threaten me?" Yu Xiong bursts out laughing, his voice mocking and sarcastic. "Aren't you a bit too stupid in the head if you still can't figure out why?" Hu Mei's face went white. No longer struggling, she stares upward from the floor at the cold-faced middle-aged chief. "You first tried to murder the queen, then impersonated Her Highness's identification token. Do you admit your crime?" Boom! As if she's been struck by a lightning, Hu Mei's brain instantly went blank on the spot, her eyes locking intently onto the eagle chiefs. What did he say? The queen's identification token. No, it's not true. It must be a trick. He's tricking me. The lady almost couldn't breathe from the pain in her chest, and it's under this suffocating feeling that Yu Xiong came before by Yan's presence to take kneel. My queen, it's your loyal subject here who has come late, causing your highness to suffer such grievances. Please forgive me. Pricking her brow up, Bai stops her lazy act and got serious as well. Eagle Chief, how have you been lately? It's been a while since we last met at my coronation. Slightly startled at the quick recognition, Yu Xiong felt elation and unease at the same time. Thanks to your highness's blessing, everything is well within my clan. In that case, I will give you a task. First, gather your tribesmen and go with Fei Yi of the Wing clan to gather the rest of the demons living in this region. Second, I want to search for a teenager by the name of Bai Xiao. I heard he was in this area not long ago. Yes, my queen. Getting up from the floorboard, Yu Xiong respectfully complies. Uncle Yu, you're lying to me. Muttering to herself in an incoherent manner, Hu Mei's expression becomes hysterical. She is the queen? How can she be the queen? You're lying to me. Please tell me you are lying to me. I have never offended you in any way. Why are you doing this to me? When it came to the last bit of her sentence, there's a heart-wrenching tone like she's about to pass out. Welcome the queen, 3. I said it before that my mother's the queen. You didn't believe us and swept us away, humph. Then when my mother pulled her pendant to prove herself, you also claimed it was a fake and wanted to hit me as well. Even worse, you later attacked us with those people and drove us into the mountains. Thankfully, the Wing clan's elder recognizes my mother. Otherwise, we would have been in danger. Fei Yi's expression grew a shade whiter at the implication of the Missy's word. Queen, please believe me. Even if I didn't recognize you, I would have identified you through the jade pendant. I would never be as stupid as that Hu Budwei. Despite the old senior's pointless worrying, Bai Yin never had any intent to blame him. It's just him overthinking it. After all, to be as dumb as Hu Budwei and his daughter, it would really take a miracle to find another pair in this backwater of city. While Hu Mei continues to splutter on the floor, Yu Xiong, on the other hand, could only shake his head and sigh at this laudable outcome. Hu Budwei really is unfortunate. First, it was his eldest daughter trying to drug the king, so she can sneak into his bed, and now this younger one drives the queen away and threatens her life. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity is ruined by jealousy. What a fate he has. It's then while the Eagle Chief was lamenting the twist in one's misfortune, a swift wind suddenly blows over into the tavern, and appears a man wearing a light blue robe. This newcomer was no other Hu Budwei, who had rushed over after realizing his own folly. Normally, Hu Mei would be delighted and overjoyed to find her own father coming to the rescue, but she knows better than anyone. If it was a choice between the family as a whole or a daughter, this man would, without question, pick the bigger body and abandon herself. Now, instead of just fear and distraught on the face, the fox lady was despairing as well. Sure enough, Hu Budwei's head was thinking exactly that after scanning the tavern. He could recognize the Wing clan and Eagle clan. Saw him too late in the end. Tightly clenching his fist, he slowly inches forward in a trembling manner. Then before anyone could understand what he's going to do, the old fox plops to the ground and gets into a prostrating position. Queen, I was blind and foolish in failing to recognize you. Please, out of consideration for my loyalty to the demon realm, please spare my fox clan. He cries out with sobbing tears and snot. Not minding this little play, Yu Xiong takes this opportunity to grow his own existence. Pushing a chair over in a flattering manner. Queen, please sit. Bai Yin didn't mind this and brushed her skirt into a better position before taking a seat. When you chased me before, you weren't acting like this, were you? Hu Budwei went white at that little sly comment. First giving his own daughter an angry glare, he then reverted back to the crying man-child act. Queen, I was blinded by this stupid daughter of mine. That's why I didn't know you were the queen. If I had known, I would never have done what I did that day. That is to say, if I wasn't the queen, then you would have killed me. Is that it? Asked Bai Yin with a cold smirk. He was stumped for a response. It's exactly like she says. If Bai Yin wasn't the queen, this old fox would never feel he has done anything wrong. Welcome the queen, for man and beast have always been old enemies. What wrong have I done? Fei Yi, Yu Xiang, listen well. Bai Yan's expression grew hard and expressionless. Everyone in the demon realm is my subject. It's my duty to secure your safety. However, I will not permit mindless carnage or destruction either. If humans attack you first, then I will not care even if you retaliate with 100 times the force. In fact, I will also help you with the act. On the contrary, I will not permit any hostility towards humanity without provocation. Anyone who does so on their own will be expelled from the demon realm and never to return. She couldn't control demons from elsewhere in this world, but the ones under her watch must abide by her rules. In her past and present life, anyone who doesn't cross her won't be harmed, but if they do cross her, then it's a retaliation of everything she's got, no exception. This was especially true in this day and age, since the realms of human and demons have once again been reunited through the shattering of the Great Seal. Bai Yan's not going to let others murder the innocent and weak. Of course, this logic also applies to said demons. If humanity attacks her subjects, then she too would attack in full. Fei Yi and Yu Xiang inwardly trembled with shock over the promise, hurrying to bow their heads. Your subjects are here to abide by your highness's will. Good, send my orders out. Those who dare to go make trouble in the human realm will not be taken kindly. The lightest is banishment, the harshest death. That part done, Bai Yan now returns her attention to the train wreck that was the old fox. Now, let's go over the accounts with you. Under those overbearing and sharp eyes, Hu Budwei could not even muster the courage to lift up his head. His soul's been lost. Queen, can you forgive us? We are willing to obey any wish your highness have of us in the future. That brought a wave of laughter into Bai Yan's face. The entire demon realm is at my beck and call, and the humans living here in this border city will also become mine very soon. Why should I keep you when I have so many more willing souls? The old fox shuddered, knowing full well his plea had no leg to stand on. Nevertheless, for the sake of his own family, his own branch of the Fox clan, he must persist. Queen, my branch of the Fox clan deserves at least something. We work hard for the sake of the demon realm. Wiping away a drop of the tear from the corner of his eye, not to mention we didn't know about you before. A crime shouldn't be a crime if the party is unaware. Not a crime. Bai Yan was immensely irked by that ridiculous defense. Kicking the old fox in the chest to send him flying backwards, she grew hard and threatening. So if I was less incompetent that day and didn't escape, does it mean I would have died by your hands for nothing? Are you going to tell Di Tsang that you didn't know, so your crime doesn't count? Yes, you killed his wife, so he must show forgiveness because you are unaware. He could feel his heart being punched by a heavy fist. Hurrying to crawl up from his position after being kicked, Hu Budwei starts begging again with increased fervor. He knows what he said there was simply idiotic and foolish. No one could beg for forgiveness from that man. The only thing that would do was to make the punishment even more cruel. Then, as if the blood in his veins were awakened, Hu Budwei suddenly casts a look over to his own daughter, Hu Mei. Regardless of the resentment he held for this foolish girl, she's still his flesh and blood. The older one was already lost. Now this one's the only child he has left. Even if he won't live, he must at least let her survive this ordeal. Queen, all the fault lies with me. I implore you to let my youngest daughter live. She's ignorant and young. Even if she's denigrated to a slave is fine. My only hope is that you spare her out of consideration that she's also a fox. Di Tsang's arrival, 1. Hu Mei's body became incredibly stiff, her throat choking as tears swelled out of those eyes. Perhaps, not even she could have thought her old man would protect her at such a time. It's no secret among the household that Hu Budwei could be very cold and harsh to those who fail him. For example, the older sister was of one when she got caught in trying to drug the king. The old fox didn't hesitate and easily abandoned the girl to her own demise. Queen, please, we really didn't know you were you before. Out of consideration that we are of the same family, have mercy. Crawling up to Bai Yan's leg, Hu Mei pleads and begs by banging her head, the regret showing all over that face and devouring her existence. Unfortunately, that futile effort soon turned to suicidal thoughts when the ground began to shake. Swinging around, her pupils promptly dilutes inwardly as she saw the most unforgettable scene ever in her life. Outside the tavern, there's thousands of demonic beasts galloping over from the distance and kicking up a storm of dust. This stampede was led by a flying dragon of gold, but it's the male and female standing at the lizard's head that snatched her soul away. Sister-in-law, I miss you so much. You don't know, but my brother's been bullying me so much while you weren't home. Then before the girl in yellow could detail a certain individual's poor behavior to the one in charge, a gloomy and threatening aura from behind had cut her off. How come you are here? Bai Yin asked the handsome man in front of her eyes, those lips quirking into a smile. Not answering, Ditsong's first act was to pull his wife into a tight embrace before speaking. He's far too possessive and won't have it any other way. Why didn't you send someone to inform me about others trying to harm you? Breaking out into a chuckle. It's nothing big. Why are you so worried for? You think I can't solve it by myself? Bai Yin has no intention of being a woman that could only hide behind their husband like a weak damsel in distress. If she's going to do something, it's going to be through her own efforts and struggle. Ignoring the displeasure from his wife and the focused attention from everyone nearby, Ditsong went ahead to give her a deep French kiss between the lips to show his feelings. To this great demon lord, it's not a matter of trust or not. It's a matter of him being able to show off his manly ability as the husband. Towards the intimate picture of the pair, Umei tried hard to hide her discontent by lowering that face from prying eyes. However, the clenching fists to the sides had given her away to the inspective person. It's not like this fox lady couldn't tolerate the king having multiple women in the harem. That's a given for any ruler. But to see the cold, hard image she's had of Ditsong for all these years be shattered for the sake of a single human female was excruciating and crushing. Your Majesty. The members of the Eagle clan and Wing clan respectively kneeled. Compared with the shock of others, Di Xiaowan, Demon Princess, had become immune to the pair of lovebirds' behaviors. She's calm and relished in the mood right now. Ditsong's arrival, too. Half a ring later, Ditsong finally loosens his grasp and began caressing that silky black hair. These people, let me deal with them. Okay. Donning a brilliant smile, Bai Yan's beauty seems to overshadow even the world itself after being nourished. Letting go of his wife, the old fox now has the full attention of the great demon lord. Who Budway? Is this how you assist my wife when I asked you to assist her? That voice was overbearing and oppressive, causing others to squirm in discomfort by merely being in his presence. Sire, I know my crime. You think a simple apology is going to make up for your crime? Expressionless on the face. Even if I killed your entire clan here, it will still not make it for that mistake. Hu Budway has fallen into despair. He knows it's over. This dreadful and unmatchable king wasn't going to let his family go no matter what after that statement. Yu Xiong, go past my order. From this point forward, the Fox clan here in this border city are no longer my subjects, nor are they permitted to take a single step into the demon realm. Yes, sire, the Eagle Chief respectfully cups his hand in compliance. What about this traitor and his daughter? Ditsong's lip promptly curves into a sardonic smirk. Them? Throw the two into the Dark Dragon Lair. They will at least be good enough as food. Dark Dragon Lair? The old fox shuddered at the idea, and his pupils expanded in horrific fright. He's going to be this ruthless? He must wipe out my family that completely? No, I don't want to go to the Dark Dragon Lair. In her panic, Humei crawls up to Ditsong's leg and banged her head with incredible force, causing the blood to stain the ground in the process. Sire, please spare me. I know my wrong. From now on, I won't dare anymore. Please, I beg of you, please don't send me there. Those sick, perverted dragons will kill me in how they toy with their captives. Get lost. Disgusted by the sight, the demon king snaps and bombards the lady with his overwhelming aura, causing no less than a dozen bruises to that dainty skin from the blow. This is the price for harming my wife. His words are a knife, piercing into Humei's heart until it's full of holes. Done with that, Song reverts his gaze back to his wife, those eyes blooming with warmth and smile. Yin Yin, do you miss me? Instead of replying, the woman herself only showed interest in what's behind her own husband. Sadly, when she noticed there's the lacking figure of a little steam bun, the energy to talk was swept out of her. Xiaochen didn't come with you? Going black in the face. You only think of that boy. Don't you miss me at all? That kid will have his own wife one day. It's me who will spend the rest of my life with you. Just the thought of his own brat taking up more room in his wife's heart would bring sourness to this man's mood. That's right. Song's jealous of Bai Xiaochen, his own flesh and blood. Now here comes the silly part. Due to this reasoning, the man was even more determined to make Bai Yin give him another daughter. Only by doing so would the boy stop pestering his own mother. Quit fussing, where's Xiaochen? Bai Yin asked with raised brows. Song's arrival, 3. In the end, Song couldn't bear to watch her nervous expression and spilled the truth. He is still inside that secret domain. Not out yet. Her brow tightens further. Is he in danger? I keep getting this uneasy feeling. Don't worry, Yin Yin. That kid is my son, so he's not going to be in any danger, nor will I allow him to be in danger. Perhaps it's the confidence in his words, but Bai Yan's expression definitely eased up a bit until she could muster a smile. Since he is fine, then I'm relieved, but I can't go back with you yet. I have something to deal with here first. No problem. I'll accompany you. No problem. I accompany you. Hume was stung in the heart again for the second time. She's bleeding, both inwardly and outwardly, through her mouth and heart from those words. Of course, this venomous image didn't slide away from the Eagle Chief's sharp eye. Who's the closest? Are you going to remove yourself on your own? Or do you need me to drag you away? The king and queen is having a personal moment. They don't need traitors like you watching them. Closing her eyes in frustration, yet accepting, Hume eventually opens her eyes and left of her own accord. She's at least have that much sanity to know when to retreat. And just like his own daughter, who Budway also scurried away when the Eagle Chief shot him a death glare. Border City. In between the time frame of a single day, the entire settlement has become occupied by demonic beasts from all direction. Naturally, some wanted to resist, but before they could gather and muster the necessary forces to fight, they had already been roped up over to Wu Xiong's estate. Yin Yin, the fruit of this city isn't very good, so please bear with them for now. Once the fruits from the demon realm ripens during this season, I will have someone bring a bunch over so you can enjoy them. However, this peach here is barely edible. Here, let me feed you. Di Xiaowan couldn't resist a twitch in her lip over this. Sure, this demon princess had long been used to their love-dovey exchanges, but this was too much. She's feeling a little embarrassed just standing there. How can someone like this be the demon realm's king? Is he not afraid of sister-in-law beating him? Likely aching to watch her own brother suffer at the hands of his wife, the princess heaves a long sigh and focused in on the pair. Unfortunately, the expected kicking or scolding never came. Instead, it was Bai Yan's lazy inaction as she swallowed the outstretched hand carrying the slice of peach with an enjoying smile. With gawking eyes, what's going on? Why is sister-in-law not getting mad at him? It's always been like that. What's changed? What did brother do to change her mind? In this instant, many thoughts and ideas spun within the sweet Dumbaklut's brain, mostly wild images of her brother's shoe licking and pleading to get on Bai Yan's good side. However, one scary picture did jolt the girl back to attention. It was about herself. An image of Bai Yin and Di Tsong teaming up to bully her poor self in the future. No, I can't let this happen. Making up her mind then, Di Xiaowan was absolute in her resolution to not let Di Tsong tame his wife. Otherwise, a miserable future was all that awaits herself. Di Tsong's arrival for sister-in-law. The princess hurries to interject herself between the two bodies. You must be tired, so let me handle these people. There's no need for you to shoulder all this burden. While Bai Yin herself found this rather amusing and arched an eyebrow over the suggestion, the girl has already turned to those kneeling humans with a narrow glare. So it's you despicable bunch here who joined forces with Hu Budway in order to harm my sister-in-law. Wu Xiong could do nothing but shiver intensely. He didn't know what else to say in his own defense. Like seriously, Who would have imagined some random lady on the middle street to be the queen of the demon realm? Talk about poking the hornet's nest. I didn't know who she was. Shut up. Di Xiao Wan stabs her arms against the waist. I don't care whether or not you did it intentionally or unintentionally. You are dead regardless. Besides, how can my sister-in-law be wrong? It's you despicable bunch who try to harm her. The more she spoke, the angrier she became, and eventually stomped down at Wu Xiong's back like she's trampling a cockroach. If you dare to resist, then I'll have someone drag you away for disposal this instant. This sentence was frightening for the once arrogant big guy. Despite his squirming unwillingness, he kept his body still like a turtle and allowed that dainty leg to keep coming down. If only this guy was into certain fetishes, then he would be relishing in the pain alone. But he's not. This was a humiliation, a blunt and direct humiliation. I'm going to beat you to death, you bastard. Stomping and kicking, Di Xiao Wan kept going off like a seductress despite not knowing it herself. She's just too beautiful, even in her rage, and it didn't help either when her efforts were no different from tiny pinches to these humans. In the end, it was the demon princess who's sweating and panting and giving off a sweet aroma by her bodily scent. The other humans here all feared for their own fate at this moment. They knew Wu Xiong wasn't suffering much, but they dreaded what would become of them if this was the sort of treatment awaiting them in the future. Di Tsang, did Xiao Wan suffer some kind of shock lately? Why is she acting like that? Bai Yin asks with a lazy voice. I don't know. Di Tsang shakes his head, presumably because of state teacher's disappearance. What? State teacher and first elder still hasn't come back yet? There's astonishment in her voice. If she is this shook from his disappearance, why don't we pair them together once he's back? It'd be a shame if they never got together. Smiling at the suggestion, Di Tsang agrees with that opinion. That's exactly what I was thinking. Still oblivious to how she's already wet away, Di Xiao, one who's been overly excited from the clobbering, suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. Making an odd squeal, she looks left and right for the strange sensation. If only this sweet Dumba-Klutz didn't try to suck up to Bai Yin on this occasion. But because of her own judgment, she's been mistaken for having love sickness. Now it's pretty much a given she's going to be state teacher's wife, just that no one could have guessed the sort of BDSM fetish running through this princess's blood. When the rest of the world discovered the truth, it would be years later, and her husband has already submitted in heart and soul to this seductress. A while later, Di Xiao Wan finally found her endurance at the limit. Dragging Wu Xiong like a dead dog and not knowing he's acting, she grins with a broad smile at her own failed achievement. Sister-in-law, look, I've taught this asshole a lesson. Now it's brother's turn to work. Here, take this first. Taking out a handkerchief, Bai Yin readily hands the item over. Don't let his filth dirty your hands. He's not worth it. City subjugation, 1. How are you liking this? Bai Yin asks, fully aware of the minimal damage felt by the big guy before turning over to the rest of the humans. I called you all here today to give everyone a chance to live. Losing all of the playful air, she becomes sharp and dominating with the aura of a ruler and leader. What does she mean? How is she going to let us live? Their hearts trembled, showing surprise and fear in the faces. Still smiling, but more difficult to read now. I presume you all know what has happened today at the tavern. If you want to live, then be contracted by my daughter. If you don't, then become food for her belly. To live, there's only one path laid before them, and that's to become slaves. A cold shudder overtakes the humans here. They all turn to stare at the innocent-looking lass that's carelessly eating the fruits in hand, and they gulped. One of the captives wanted to speak up, but before he could, another voice interjected from the rear. Lady, some of us never took part in Wu Xiong's mess that day. It shouldn't involve us, so why did you summon us here? Narrowing her eyes, Bai Yan's sight quickly fell upon the owner of that voice. It's an old senior by the name of Yiling, one of the rare high-level saint ranks in this border city. Originally, this Yiling was in the middle of cuddling with his little concubine in bed when he got dragged out of his home. That's why he's so disgruntled at the rudeness. Furthermore, there's no lie in his defense. He never took part in Wu Xiong shenanigans, so why should he stay? How can there be nothing if I called you here? Bai Yin then leans against her own husband's chest, that face lazy and content. This border city is the closest settlement between the demon realm and celestial realm. As it so happens, I'm growing interest on this place, so it's only normal I meet the leaders. He Ling's heart dropped, growing an increasingly sense of wariness. What do you mean by that? Isn't it obvious already? You and the rest of you old bones are to contract with my daughter. This border city will be mine. This woman, does she know what she's saying? This border city can't compare with the main forces of the two realms. That's true, but it's nothing to be scoffed at either. Based on what can she make such a demand? Without these demons by her side, she's nothing. He Ling thought, not fully willing to listen. Lady, you must be kidding, right? Slightly quivering due to the immense aura coming out of Di Song's body, the old fella didn't want to sound offending. Our border city belongs to the celestial realm. You are from the demon realm. Why should we accept your rule? Beasts, whether of demon origin or celestial origin, has always been servile to humanity since ancient times. It was only after the establishment of the demon realm that those animals grew some backbone and began resisting the deities, hence the degrading opinion running through these humans. City subjugation, too, staring down coolly at the man below herself. Bai Yin slowly rose from the chair, arms stretching out as she summoned up a frosty blade made of ice-cold bone. Then I'll show you now if I'm qualified to take over this city or not. In that split second, as words came forth, that womanly figure also disappeared from view. He Ling didn't know where she went, but the instinct built through years of combat and experience told him he needed to turn around and deflect. And sure enough, he did by throwing out a palm strike of his own. Unfortunately, for this once prominent leader of this city, though, his efforts were futile. Squirts of spraying blood came squirting out of his hand when the blade pierced into his flesh and bone, causing the crimson-red liquid to splatter all over his own clothes. It's clear who's the victor here today. If He Ling didn't try to block there at the last moment, the bone blade would have been in his chest and not just in his hand. Understanding this possible consequence, an unnerved chill ran through the man's skin, turning his eyes vigilant and alarmed. Do you understand your own status now? Forming a smirk on her face, she scans the crowd to make sure they understood the meaning of her threat. Or you can all come at me together at once. I don't mind either, since these people had the intent to begin with. That suggestion instantly roused a stir among the unwilling group. There's a smudge of determination returning to their faces after losing some of their light. Lady, He Ling isn't wrong in what he said. We are denizens of the celestial realm. It's natural that we would be against the demon realm. These people were stupid enough to make a move against you, so we didn't intervene. But if you want to conquer the entire border city, then we will never agree. That's right. If you want us to be slaves to demons, then we will never agree. Poof! Without any warning, a blast of searing heat fires over at the last person who spoke up, engulfing and incinerating his body until even his soul was destroyed by the flame. Eerily enough, the process had happened so quickly that no screams ever came from the individual, sending many into a frantic unease of fear and horror. That's right, the flame burned right down to the soul. If it was simple death, then they could still have a chance at being reborn through the cycle of life. But what awaits them was clearly eternal damnation. Devil, this man is more evil than the darkest creature in existence. At least such things only torture or devour one's soul, not destroy it outright. They all gulped and stared at the silver-haired man sitting on the throne chair, their eyes haunted now. This included He Ling and the other high-level saint ranks present. Is there any more objections to my wife's decision? Lazy and bland in his interest, Ditsong asks with an air of melancholy. They had long heard of how cruel and ruthless this demon king was, but it's far beyond their imagination. Yet, they seem to have forgotten how cruel humanity, too, have been towards the various creatures of this world. Hunted for their fur, for their flesh, for their cores, anything of value would be sought after by humanity regardless of their origin or background. City Subjugation 3, staring down coolly at the man below herself, Yin slowly rose from the chair, arms stretching out as she summoned up a frosty blade made of ice-cold bone. Then I'll show you now if I'm qualified to take over this city or not. In that split second, as words came forth, that womanly figure also disappeared from view. Ling didn't know where she went, but the instinct built through years of combat and experience told him he needed to turn around and deflect. And sure enough, he did by throwing out a palm strike of his own. Unfortunately for this once prominent leader of this city, though, his efforts were futile. Squirts of spraying blood came squirting out of his hand when the blade pierced into his flesh and bone, causing the crimson-red liquid to splatter all over his own clothes. It's clear who's the victor here today. If Ling didn't try to block there at the last moment, the bone blade would have been in his chest and not just in his hand. Understanding this possible consequence, an unnerved chill ran through the man's skin, turning his eyes vigilant and alarmed. Do you understand your own status now? Forming a smirk on her face, she scans the crowd to make sure they understood the meaning of her threat. Or you can all come at me together at once. I don't mind either. Since these people had the intent to begin with. That suggestion instantly roused a stir among the unwilling group. There's a smudge of determination returning to their faces after losing some of their light. Lady, Ling isn't wrong in what he said. We are denizens of the celestial realm. It's natural that we would be against the demon realm. These people were stupid enough to make a move against you, so we didn't intervene. But if you want to conquer the entire border city, then we will never agree. That's right. If you want us to be slaves to demons, then we will never agree. Poof! Without any warning, a blast of searing heat fires over at the last person who spoke up, engulfing and incinerating his body until even his soul was destroyed by the flame. Eerily enough, the process had happened so quickly that no screams ever came from the individual, sending many into a frantic unease of fear and horror. That's right, the flame burned right down to the soul. If it was simple death, then they could still have a chance of being reborn through the cycle of life, but what awaits them was clearly eternal damnation. Devil, this man is more evil than the darkest creature in existence. At least such things only torture or devour one's soul, not destroy it outright. They all gulped and stared at the silver-haired man sitting on the throne chair, their eyes haunted now. This included Ling and the other high-level saint ranks present. Is there any more objections to my wife's decision? Lazy and bland in his interest, Deetsong asks with an air of melancholy. They had long heard of how cruel and ruthless this demon king was, but it's far beyond their imagination. Yet, they seem to have forgotten how cruel humanity, too, have been towards the various creatures of this world. Hunted for their fur, for their flesh, for their cores, anything of value would be sought after by humanity regardless of their origin or background. City subjugation, for, unfortunately, because there's a certain demon king around, these people didn't even get the chance to repel the power before Deetsong pressed down with his own. In that moment, all resistance was for naught, and gave Dragoni the opportunity to easily go into their soul to form the ritual. Half a ring later, and with a gleeful smile, the little missy was done. Mother, I've done what you asked me to do. Very good, sweetie. I'll get a reward for you later. Yin returns a smile of her, those eyes doting and loving. This experience immediately made the little missy blush. Without another word, she throws her head into the woman's stomach and spoke with a content voice. I don't need any reward. Having mother is already the best reward I can ever get. In the past, she never got the doting care of a father, nor did she get the love from her own mother. Thankfully, fate hasn't been all cruel and tossed Yin into her life. Now she's finally got the chance to enjoy the affection of maternal love for once. For that, Dragoni couldn't ask for more and would allow absolutely nothing to get in the way of this bond. It's then Dragoni's big, beautiful eyes flickered with a firm light and her hands grew tighter, knowing fully how far she has come. Unbeknownst to this little missy, though, one day in the future, she would be forced to leave by Yan's side. In her rage and sadness, the world itself would be plunged into the depths of hell itself thanks to her following action. Even so, she continued to persist and nearly became the incarnate of evil itself, that's Dragoni's future. Yin Yin. Deetsong first casts a look at the missing nestling in his wife's arm, then at the girl herself before curving into a shallow smirk. Come. Though a bit perplexed by why he's calling her over, Bai Yin nevertheless did as requested and let her goddaughter go before strolling over. Without surprise, the man did his usual selfish thing and swiftly pulled her into an enticing embrace. The leader of the group who hurt you. How do you want to deal with him? Wu Xiong, who's been acting dead until now, nearly jerked right up from the ground after being mentioned. He actually thought they forgot about his crime, so he's been keeping mute, caressing her chin to question. I feel like being a slave is too cheap of a punishment for him. Deetsong pricks his brow up at the response. Then what do you wish to do with him? We can do anything you want. Just now Xiao Wan already beat him a bunch. Why don't we gift him to those demons who have a special taste in their sexual orientation instead? How about that? This time the big guy could no longer stay still anymore. Quickly getting up, he kneels right in front of the pair and cries his eyes out. Lady, I have already been contracted by the little lady and haven't resisted. Please don't do this to me. I don't want to become those perverted monsters' playmate like Mei and her father. Saying it nicely was a playmate. Saying it bluntly would be a sexual slave for those of the same sex. Imagine a saint-rank master being degraded to be a sex toy. There's no way he could endure. Narrowing in her eyes, Bai Yin clearly had differing opinions. Do you expect to forget? The one who started this battle is you. Whether it be the Fox family here in this border city or the others that got involved, they're all being punished. As the main culprit, you think you can get off scot-free? City subjugation. 5. Wu Xiong looked extremely miserable with his distraught face. If one didn't know better, they would assume his wife and daughters keep snatched away by a thief. Lady, I am very useful, really useful compared to that Ubudway. Don't you want to attack the celestial realm? I can help guide you there. In order to get there in one piece, you must pass through the Sky Forest. I know how to pass through it with ease. It's very familiar to me. I can help reduce the amount of detour you must take. It's then Deetsong whispers something in his wife's ear. First elder and state teacher both went to the celestial realm before. In other words, they're already familiar with the mentioned Sky Forest, so there's no need for a guide. Wu Xiong didn't miss that and grew paler than a ghost. He started to tremble without intent due to the immense fear he felt at having his offer shot down. I have other uses. I know a lot of people in the celestial realm. Information are always useful during times of war, so you can use a spy, right? Yes, I could be your spy and work from within. Now, that was hilarious in Bai Yan's eye. If that's the case, why did you get thrown out to this border city then? As unwilling as the big guy was in telling his own story, he nevertheless relented after getting to grip with the situation. It's better than being called a liar and to protect his own chastity from those sick dragons. I hooked up with a young miss of a large family clan back then. That's why I got sent here to this outskirts city. But I have a cousin, he works at that big household. He promised to get me back once he find a way. Rolling her eyes. And what does that do to help us? That background of yours doesn't seem very useful at all. No. That household my cousin is in is a big one, so I'll be able to gather any information you would like, and that miss is also deeply in love with me. She must still be waiting for me to go back. Though skeptical, Bai Yin eventually decides to take a chance given the opportunity. I'll give you a chance. If you can complete the mission I have, then you can be a slave. What mission? Said Wu Xiong, his eyes bright. Help me look for information on a person. Who? Bai Ning. She needs to know whether or not this Bai Ning was her mother or not, and where she was in the celestial realm. Relieved by the path laid before him, Wu Xiong inhales deeply. It's just asking about a person. How hard can this mission be? Don't worry, lady. I will definitely get news on this Bai Ning that you've requested. Just wait for my good news. Revealing a charming smile, Wu Xiong never felt so happy about protecting his own ass from others. Sweeping her side on the rest after that, Bai Yin gives her next order. You can all return to your homes in a bit. In addition, the fact about your submissions to demons must be kept a secret from those familiar to you in the celestial realm, especially the close acquaintances in your life. Be warned, if I find out whoever leaks this news, it won't just be the destruction of your soul. Bai Yan's words sounded bullying now after emphasizing her ability to crush them so many times. Another thing, making a thoughtful look, if there's any demonic beasts still locked up in your homes, release them immediately. I won't interfere if they're willing to follow you of their own accord. However, I will not permit this custom to continue. If a demonic beast voluntarily takes a human as their master, then she has nothing to say or to do. But if forced, then, as their queen, Bai Yan has a duty to intervene. Do you all understand? Bai Yan asks the silent group, hammering her point through by forcing a response. City subjugation, 6. We will comply. The crowd of voices echoed in unison, spreading across this hall as one big mass. Without another word, Bai Yan flicks her hand open and summons up a portrait before handing it over to the demon princess. Xiaowan, pass this over to them. They can memorize the picture on their own. Okay, sister-in-law. Taking the item like a good helper, Di Xiaowan happily hands the portrait to the nearest human slave she found. One by one, each individual memorized the picture until it reached the last in the rear. Of course, the faces they made were not missed by Bai Yan's sharp attention gaze. She wanted to test them for signs of recognition, and sure enough, there's a single individual who made a surprised face when handed the item. Immediately, her face sank a little. Aside from the yellow-robed young man, everyone can leave. They may be surprised and unsure why, but these humans weren't going to protest. Cupping their fist, the crowd quickly dispersed and left the poor young lad, sweating from the fear of being singled out. Queen, is there something you need of me by asking me to stay? The nervous lad croaks this out. Have you seen this man in the portrait? She narrows in her eyes, causing a new layer of white surface on the lad's face. I, blowing up with dangerous light now. Speak. Where is he? If you dare lie, then that person's fate will be yours next. After much choking and struggling of the tongue, a clear answer eventually came forth. A while back I saw him battling with someone else in the forest. He got injured and escaped. Afterwards, I don't know what happened to him. Having said that, he immediately got to his knees in a kowtowing stance. Queen, it wasn't deliberate. I didn't intend to watch him get hurt. If I had known he was your brother, I would have done everything I can to save him. Immensely cold and dangerous in her aura, Bai Yan's fists clenched harder and harder until the very bones in there started to crackle. She couldn't help it. When this bastard mentioned Bai Xiao being injured and had to flee, her heart twisted in pain like someone just ripped it out and wring it dry. That lovable brother. That sensible kid who would use his own body to take the beatings in her place. Everything from the past came swelling back in her memories and suffocated her breathing. Do you know where he went? Shaking his head with distinct fear in those eyes. I don't know, but I know it's people from the celestial realm who hurt him. Celestial realm. Gnashing her teeth, an unbridled fury roars out of Bai Yan's throat, wanting to engulf that very name in flames. If those people dare to hurt my brother, then I will subvert the entire world if I must to exact revenge. Now the debt between her and the celestial realm just went up by another card. Sure, she's still hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from reaching the goal of payback, but the determination was there and won't be removed under any circumstances. Yin Yin, coming over to give her a hug from behind. Deetsong's voice grew tender and warm like he's going to change whatever ill fate that might befall his brother-in-law. Don't worry, I will help you find that boy. You'll be all right. Deetsong, do you know? Although I am not the original Bai Yin, but the memories of the past remained with me like a vivid picture, deeply imprinted into my mind. I still remember. When I was being bullied and hurt with no one to turn to, it was he who used his thin, frail body to protect me. His worry, he was clearly the one who needed protection back then, but each and every time it was he who shielded me. And then I didn't even say goodbye that year when I fled. I caused him so much pain, yet he never blamed me for any of it. Deetsong, I can clearly give him the protection that we lacked back then with my current influence and power, but you know, he would rather gain his own so that he can make a peaceful place for me. That's what he said, pausing with choking grief. Bai Xiao is my brother, my one and only brother. He's injured while away from home. How can my heart not ache and worry for him? Aching at his wife's distress, Deetsong hurries to give that trembling body a hug. Yin Yin, believe in me. I will see to it he returns to us safely. After a long while of this sobbing picture, Bai Yin finally regains her composure with eyes of steel plastered across that face. Deetsong, I'm going to the celestial realm. Making a frown. Now? Yes, I'm going now. My mother and brother might be there right this instant. They're both my family, so I'm going to bring them back home. Looking at the woman's resolute face, Deetsong didn't object to the idea. Just that. Can you give me a bit of time first? Deetsong. Bai Yin makes a surprised look at her own husband. Give me a little more time. Although I can't conquer the entire celestial realm for you, but the time will give me room to create a safe haven over on that side for you. With deep feelings and tenderness in those eyes, he kissed her on the forehead. Promise me this. Give me a little more time, and I will accompany you to find my mother-in-law and brother-in-law. Okay. Bai Yin knew her insistence on the matter would only worry this man. Therefore, she didn't resist. I'll wait for a while longer and use this period to improve my strength. When I break into the celestial rank, he won't need to worry so much anymore. At least enough to protect those close to me. That should be enough, right? Despite the reassuring smile coming off of Deetsong's face, underneath it all were not the thoughts and feelings of someone with confidence. It looks like the plan must be advanced ahead of time. If Shower is being attacked, then they might be doing it because of me and Yin Yin. Watching all of this from the sideline, Di Xiao was extremely envious of the teen mentioned in their conversation. So this is the bond of having a sister. It's so good. Why can't I have an older sister like Bai Yin and not this mean old grumpy brother of mine? Yin Yin, are you tired? Your complexion isn't looking so great. Asked the man who's oblivious to his own sister's bemoaning. Nodding. I'm not sure either, but my body's been feeling sleepy and tired all the time recently. Bring me inside, Deetsong. I want to rest. This explanation relieved the Demon King, who's already got a lot on his plate. It's good that it's nothing. Although the bed here can't be compared to the palace's, you should still rest on a little. After saying that, Deetsong carefully supported the woman out of the hall like she's some sort of frail item that would shatter at the slightest bump. His worry, too. What are you still doing here? Said the demon princess towards the dumb-looking young man who had been stayed by Yin earlier. Are you going to scram, or do I have to kick you out? Shuddering, the individual didn't need no urging to throw himself out the door. He's afraid this girl would take his life for being even a second too later. Princess Dragoni then comes over and gives the girl a slight tug of the sleeve. When will brother come out? Cheering up in her mood at the sight of this cute missy, Di Xiao unconsciously reached down to pinch the pink little cheek. Smiling. You've already taken my sister-in-law as your godmother. Why are you still calling me princess? Raising a super sweet smile. Auntie. That's good, said the princess with a stupid grin. Thankfully, I have you to stick around with me. Those heartless pair always leave me behind. Come, your auntie here will take you out to eat delicious things. At this moment, the sweet Dumba Klutz has discovered the benefits of having a niece because she won't be so bored with this extra companion. Oh, I can't wait for sister-in-law to get another baby. A girl would be the best. Auntie, are you state teacher's wife? Staring curiously, the little dragoness suddenly looks up to ask using that childish voice. Stiff in the face and lips twitching, Di Xiao had to take a good moment to calm her fluttering heart. Who told you that? Listening to rumors is no good, Dragoni. I'm still an unwed maiden. But that's what everyone in the demon realm says. Twinkling like the starry stars in the night sky, Dragoni didn't carry any room for doubt. Going white again, Di Xiao bites her lip like a rattled fox. Dragoni, you mustn't let those people fool you. Your auntie and state teacher. We aren't in any kind of relationship. Growling, don't let me find out who is spreading all these rumors. I'll show them. Shame for her, though. The main reason there's such rumors floating about in the demon realm was all thanks to Deetsong. Even if she does figure out the source, it's not like this scaredy fox would go do anything. Back over in the main bedroom, Deetsong and Bai Yin had just gotten into a comfortable position on the bed. Yin Yin, don't worry. I won't let anyone hurt you no matter the cost. Holding her head against his chest, his arms seemingly wants to melt their body together by this gesture. Slightly startled by his words, Bai Yan's forehead tightened in discomfort. "What's going on?" "It's nothing," said the man, kissing her forehead in an attempt to stop her worrying. "I only don't want to lose you, that's all." After saying this, Song leans over and kissed her on the lip, letting his emotion flow into her by mingling their tongues together. He wanted her, and she wanted him. There's no denying it, as their panting breath huffed and groaned from the desire erupting from within. Eventually, the man's hand tears away the last layer of fabric shielding his prize, and that's all he needed to see. Nothing was going to stop him now. Erecting his weapon of choice, he reaches down, prying her legs apart, and aim for the wet sanctuary of all men between her thighs. "Yin Yin, I love you." He purrs beside her ear, getting a silent nod from the flushed woman beneath himself, indicating she's ready. He thrusts it in the next, powerful and deep in his ramming, getting a cry of pain and ecstasy from her mouth as that back arched upward to form to the shape of his rod. "MH," Bai Yin moaned as the man dug deeper and deeper into her with every thrust, curling those toes after coming close to the first orgasm. Truthfully, she almost wanted to push him away initially from the lack of foreplay as a form of punishment, but it was too late. The reflexive clench from her abdomen had hooked his manhood due to all that throbbing in the final push. Then again, this devilish of a man wasn't going to let her go anyways at this point, and they were just beginning for the night. A good sleep later with much sex in between. Bai Yin was feeling rather drowsy on this morning as the faint light shot through the window screen to land on her closed eyes. Gradually opening them, the view was groggy at first until it eventually orientated to that striking and familiar face she spent all night connecting with. It's a happy one, but also a yearning one for more. His worry, 3, Yin Yin, why don't you go back to the mainland during this period? Since your strength is now higher, you should be able to enter the 3 miracle hidden underneath the 3 powers there. It must be something incredibly useful if the people from the spirit realm wanted it so much. Musing over the suggestion, Bai Yin eventually nods in agreement. "Okay, that's great. I have other things to do for now, so I won't go back with you, but I'll come later." His voice low and hoarse, almost tickling against the woman's ear when he whispered the intent over. "You're not done yet." She was slightly taken aback by the fact, looking up and staring into his eyes for confirmation. Understanding why, Song reaches over to give her a hug of reassurance. "It will be fast. I will come back to you very soon." Then this time, something choked her throat then. Bai Yin wanted more information, but failed to ask in the end, fearing what she didn't want to hear. "I originally came because I heard there were people trying to harm you, but now that you're safe, it's time I went back. Working towards our future is something a man should do, don't you agree, my love?" Her heart shook at that proclamation. If those are sweet words to try to score points with Bai Yin, then it's definitely working. She's feeling warm inside and would gladly take another round with this devilish bastard who wrecked her insides last night. "Yin Yin, I will not let you live in danger with our son and unborn daughter. As your husband and their father, I will do everything to remove any obstacle in the way." Giggling at the shamelessness of that last bit. "And how do you know I'm going to have a daughter?" Because the man's finger slowly slides down to her belly. "We already have one trying to compete with me for your attention. I now need a girl to divert his focus, lest he comes clinging to you every day." Slightly twitching in the corner of her lip, Bai Yin has had to hand it to this man. How much does he frown upon his own son? Once we have a daughter, we can then throw her to Xiaqin, leaving only the 2 of us to roam the world in peace and joy. Upon fantasizing the beautiful future, Song's face evokes a dashing grin that could amaze the world if frozen in time. "We're not taking our daughter?" she asked with a frown. "It's enough to have Xiaqin by her side. Besides, only you are allowed to get close to me. No one else is allowed. That includes his own daughter, no exception. And I don't need to worry with that boy in charge. If any brat dares to get close to my daughter, he will clobber them in my stead." A flash of hard sternness flickers across Song's eyes. Just because he doesn't want to take his daughter along on their merry trip doesn't mean he doesn't like her. In fact, he's going to be more protective of his daughter than the mother here in question. Bai Yin literally went black from the bleak future awaiting her own daughter. She could already imagine the sort of picture where the girl gets overly protected by her boy and husband like two guardian gods that would repel any pompous lad who dares to draw too close. It's getting late now. I need to go back. Showing a smile, she hooks those arms around the man's neck and imprints her own version of a French kiss onto those lips. I'm going to get much stronger. Just you wait, Deet Song. You won't be the only one conquering those from the celestial realm. I too will make them pay the price with their own blood. That remark was damning for Deet Song. He knew this wife of his has always been the strong-headed type, but her will was simply too perfect for his own. Unable to resist the urge, he throws himself at her and raises another storm on the bed this morning. Oh, Yin Yin, I can't get enough of you at all. He reaches down and presses in, forcing his way in, just like last night. His worry, for it wasn't until near noon before the man stopped his rabid act of procreation that Bai Yin could finally get herself dressed for the day's work. Nevertheless, she gave him one final kiss before striding out for the door. Deet Song, I'm going to leave with Mo, Li Shang, and Dragoni in bit. She swings her head with her back still turned to the doorframe. But I expect you to have someone inform me if you find any clue regarding my brother's whereabout. For this man, though, his focus didn't lie with that brother-in-law, though, nay, he's more focused on the strange young man who's been tailing his wife lately. You and that Mo Li Shang, what sort of relationship do you have with him exactly? I know he's not related to you. That much I'm certain. Standing there with his body still naked and hefty arsenal dangling between his crotch, he stares at her with curiosity and worry. He lost his memory when I picked him up from the road. As it so happens, I ended up bumping into him again at this border town. That's why I kept him around. But why do I keep getting the sensation that he's looking at you wrong? Making a grumbling sound, he starts getting all sour in his voice. That's the same look a man gives to their favorite woman. I don't like it. Amused by this, Bai Yin couldn't take it anymore and turned completely to meet his gaze. You know, you are such a petty fox. He's no more than a child to me. Not to mention he's lost his memories. At most he's only a brother to me. Flash stepping over to the doorway to embrace his wife's waist. Deet Song uses his other hand to pinch up at her cheek. I don't care. If he has any unfavorable motive about you, then I'll turn him to ash for having thoughts about my woman. She can only be my wife. No one else can touch. That includes ogling her or having bad thoughts. That's so. She starts giggling with an amused flavor. Then what about Chewy Foam? Why aren't you going to make trouble for him? Speaking of his wife's godbrother, the sourness and petty nature immediately poured out of this great demon king. Almost frowning. If he didn't protect both you and Xiaqin in your times of need, I would have pummeled him to the ground already. Downright bursting out laughing now, Bai Yin went ahead to wrap her own hands around this naked man's waist before leaning her head onto that defined chest. There's a loving air hovering around her eyes, clearly taken by his possessiveness for once. You should stop being so petty, Deet Song. I only have you in my heart, and everyone else is only a friend to me. What she said, there was a fact. Ever since Bai Yin decided to take him as her husband, she's decided long ago not to keep any of her inner feelings hidden, only openness and the truth. Sure enough, every drop of that sourness promptly dissipated from Deet Song's face, leaving only a gleeful look of satisfaction. Yin Yin, I will definitely keep my promise to you. This was his oath to her. Not only in this life, but the next, and the one after that as well, forever till the end. If he couldn't achieve that, then Deet Song intends to perish in heart and soul along with her, if that's what it means to be at her side. After going their separate ways, the man staying behind to get dressed, and the woman leaving, Bai Yin didn't make it very far before being stopped in her tracks. The main reason being Wu Xiong standing at the other end of the long corridor of this estate past the bedroom. Lady, I am here to be at your command. Due to being so surprised by the third party standing there, Bai Yin actually flushed with embarrassment and didn't know how to respond at first. How much did you hear? She anxiously asks, dreading the impending answer, hurrying to shake his head like a rocking drum. I didn't hear anything. Nothing at all. Quit joking around. So what if I heard the love talk and moans and cries of this boss lady? I'd be damn stupid to admit to that now. His worry 5. Mood improved by the obvious lie. Bai Yin didn't want to press the awkward issue. Instead, she got back to why this guy's standing near a place of rest. Why are you looking for me? Wu Xiong grew cautious in his tone. Lady, I am now your slave already. Don't you have anything to instruct me? Landing her sight on that square-shaped face, her expression furrowed and hard. Didn't I tell you before already? You are slaves to the demon race as a whole, and not to me. But since you are here anyways, I want you to go help call my daughter over along with Shang Shang. Yes, lady. Hurrying to give his bow of compliance, he turns and almost ran for it before being called again. Or wait a minute. Go call that he Ling over as well. She adds, causing a look of surprise in Wu Xiong's face before it returned to normal. A while later, Dragony and the rest had arrived before Bai Yan's presence. The little missy was ecstatic to see her godmother again after the previous night's outing into the local market. Mother, her voice innocent and lovely as usual. Go pack up everyone. We're leaving this city now. Queen Mother, Queen Mother. The milky doll of a baby nearly threw himself at Bai Yan's feet after breaking free from Imo Li Shang's grasp. Did you ask His Majesty about my origin? A touch of embarrassment flew into Bai Yan's face over that question. She didn't know how to answer that without making the baby sad. What was this woman supposed to tell everyone she's been too busy having wild sex last night with her man and then forgot again this morning when they went for a second round? Hell no. Thankfully, the situation got resolved by the little missy who bluntly answered him. Hanging his little head, the dolly baby that's Molly could only make a moping face after getting the disappointing response. I promise you, Molly, I will ask for you next time, okay? Giving the baby's head a warm hug, she felt terrible right now for her own carelessness. Still dejected, Molly nevertheless nods in agreement. Okay, Queen Mother, you must help me ask next time though, okay? I really want to know where I came from and why all my kin died. And why the annals recorded in history never mentioned anything about flying pigs or anything related to that in the old stories. This dolly baby has always regarded himself as a special existence, mainly because of the wings on his back. That's why he's never willingly admitted to being a pig. Lady, Wu Xiong meekly chimes in with a smile then. I've called He Ling over as well. Do you need anything else of me? Rubbing her chin in contemplation. He and you will follow me to the mainland. The mainland? He Ling's mouth twitched profusely at the notion. Does she mean the human realm where it's pitifully short on resources, even worse than this border city? As unwilling as he was about going, He Ling didn't have the nerve to object. He could only bow his head and pressed down his inner grudge for further instruction. Wu Xiong, don't forget your promise. Bai Yin shoots a warning stare over to the big guy before leaving. If you can't get any news regarding Bai Ning, then I'm afraid your only future is to become the playmates of those demons with a peculiar taste in their sex. Shivering right down to his spine. Lady, I will do everything in my power to complete that mission. You can count on it. Miracle 1 Holy Land. On a certain beautiful island filled with blossoming flowers and plum trees, two individuals, Lord Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House and Bai Chong Feng of the Medicine Sect, were arguing with heated flare in their faces that went all the way up to the ear. Meanwhile, on the side was Lord Chu Ran of the Holy Land. He's making a helpless face at the contention between these two parties who barged into his territory on this day. Why did the two of you come to my holy land if you want to fight? There's your own medicine sect and Misty Fairy House. Go there instead. My little holy land can't afford to host the two of you, so hurry and leave. There's good reason for Lord Chu Ran to make such a demand. The two over there were some of the strongest cultivators on these lands. If they start a brawl on his home, then it might as well become a wasteland afterwards. So, for the sake of keeping peace on the Holy Land, and for his own home, he must hurry and send these two troublemakers away. Unexpectedly, instead of leaving as told, the look these two gave to this host was that of discontent and anger. This holy island is my granddaughter's place. Why can't I come and see? Rather, it's this old thing here. Bai Chong Feng points accusingly at his in-law. Why is this bastard from the Misty Fairy House here? I want an answer. The matter regarding Bai Ning has always been a thorn in this old grandpa's heart. Therefore, it didn't take much to provoke it when finding someone he didn't want to see here of all places. Talk about a volcanic eruption. Ignoring the furious look coming his way, Chief Wu Wei first organizes his own clothes before speaking. I came to have a look at my granddaughter's place. Regardless of whether or not Yin is willing to recognize me as her grandfather, my son is still her father. That won't change regardless of your opinion. In other words, their bloodline was inseparable. No matter how angry this old grandpa was, Bai Yin was still his blood and kin regardless of what others want. Bai Chong Feng snorts with derision. Your wife and son aren't bad. I'll give you that. However, until my daughter is found, I will never forgive you for what you've done back then. Against the grief-stricken face of his foe, Chief Wu Wei didn't have any rebuttal. He knows the fault lies with him, so he kept silent on the topic. What else was he supposed to say? That he deliberately didn't want Bai Ning to marry his so back then, and that it's the girl's fault for not revealing her background ahead of time. That's ridiculous, even to his own ear. Let's calm down, everyone. This matter happened long ago. Plus, Chief Wu Wei here knows he's wrong. Lord Chu Ran starts playing as the mediator. More importantly, though, didn't he promise to help find Bai Ning at all cost? She's still his son's love, so there's no question about his sincerity, is there? That comment did help soothe the mood in Bai Chong Feng's heart. However, the look of disdain didn't leave the old grandpa's face at all. We will talk when I have my daughter back. If I find out this old thing dares to bully my beloved daughter when she does, I will take both Yin and her away and never let him see them again. I've made some stupid mistakes before. Chief Wu Wei heaves a long sigh in response. I know that, don't worry. As an upfront promise, I will use my remaining lifetime to make up to your daughter and never let anyone hurt them again. Is that good now? Miracle, too. How come you're all here? It's then when their argument was at a standstill. A faint, soft voice cuts in from above and catches their ear. In particular was by Chong Feng and Chief Wu Wei, who immediately recognized the set owner. Dressed in a rosy red dress, her figure was mesmerizing under the brilliant light of the glistening sun. It's great that you're all here. Now, I don't have to go out of my way to find each one of you. I'm just curious, did all three of you carry the keys for the miracles? If so, can I have it? At first, Bai Chong Feng was taken aback by this request and furrowed his forehead. However, he eventually released the tension to only turn it into absolute shock on his old face. You broke into the saint rank, high level at that? How long has it been since she first stepped into the monarch rank? How could she make so many breakthroughs? This is ridiculous. Chief Wu Wei didn't fare much better either. He's bleeding inside. One for being the one who pushed this amazing granddaughter away before she was even born, and then destroying the bond that he was supposed to hold as her grandfather. If only I didn't break up my son's relationship with her mother, then Yinner would have grown up happily in my misty fairy house. Perhaps her achievement would surpass what she has now with the proper support from the very beginning. Chu Ran laments a sigh at the sight of this woman. I still remember when Zheng Qi brought you back here for the first time. You were so severely injured that there's not a trace of your body that wasn't covered in blood. But look at you now, quietly advancing into the peak of the saint rank already. Bai Chong Feng openly frowned at that comment. What did you just say? When she came to the Holy Land, she was covered in blood. Yes, the Holy Lord faintly nods in confirmation. Back when Zheng Qi brought her back, the girl's strength was very weak, incomparable to her current strength. What followed had gone deaf to Chief Wu Wei's ear. In his mind, the only thing that kept reverberating across his head was that heart-wrenching sentence. Covered in blood, severely injured. As one could imagine, if Zheng Qi, the third elder of the Holy Land, didn't bring the girl and her son back that day, what sort of fate would have awaited them? It couldn't be good if she got that injured. Thank you. Inhaling deeply, the medicine lord turns to make a deep bow to Lord Chu Ran. There's only sincerity in his old eyes right now, and nothing else. Over the years, there had been countless feuds between the Holy Land and Medicine Sect, but with this truth coming to light, it's bound to be resolved without problem. Why are you all acting so soppy all of a sudden? That happened years ago. Am I not fine and well right now? Bai Yin comes down from the air with her daughter in hand. Isn't that right? I'm fine now, so that's all that matters. Yinner, we've been carrying the key on us from the very beginning. Now that you've reached the minimum requirement, it's time we gave it to you. After saying this, the medicine lord was the first to rummage through his storage ring, bringing out a half-moon-shaped object. Then it was Chief Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House who brought out a similar item, and when combined with the former, it just so happens to form a glowing shape of a sun. However, it was Lord Chu Ran of the Holy Land who had the actual looking key that fits exactly into the middle of the whole of said artifact. Miracle 3. In a booming flash of brilliance, a ray of white light beams down from the aerial void, landing directly in front of Yan's spot and dazzles the entire island. Moments later, the light eventually subsides, but it didn't leave behind nothing. There's a huge bronze gate emitting a strange glow of divinity after it receded. Yan found herself unable to control her own motor skills. She's like a moth right now, being drawn in captivation to a burning pyre of flame. Though beautiful, it's dangerous and likely to lead to self-destruction. In the end, her entire existence disappears from sight as the light envelopes her body once the gate opens. Lord Chu Ran made a solemn look at this change. Lord Bai, Chief Wu Wei, go call your elite disciples here. We need to stand guard while she's away. I don't know what will happen, but we cannot allow any form of interruption during this period. The two grandfathers nodded in agreement regarding this matter. They too don't know the consequences of this bronze gate being destroyed, but they have no intention of finding out when it's their own granddaughter that's in there. Very soon, a formidable fighting force was gathered at the Holy Land, with many speculating the reason for their summoning. Back over on Yan's side, things were very quiet and eerie. There's nothing but a sea of mist that blocked off her view in whatever place she got transported to. In the end, she could only wander around aimlessly searching for signs or clues to what to do next. Unbeknownst to the woman herself, though, she has never been alone since her arrival. Surrounding her within the mist were 4 hazy figures: a tiger, dragon, phoenix, and a turtle. They made up the 4 loyal guards that has always protected her. Minutes later, hours passed. It soon became clear that this wasn't going to get her anywhere, but then it happened. In the middle of aimless wandering, Yan suddenly bumped into some invisible force with her forehead and nearly fell backwards from the impact. You're here. A powerful force booms, seemingly from the far-off distance, like it's some sort of gigantic flood, causing the female in question to go blank from the wave. Despite the sound signature being clearly that of a woman's, it's hardly feministic or gentle. In fact, it's majestic and strong like a hero of a battlefield. Furthermore, a powerful gush of sadness suddenly overcomes Yan's heart, causing an unusual sense of familiarity for the woman herself. Now that you have come, it proves you are qualified in this life to challenge those from the celestial realm. Regaining her composure after being released from her turbid state, Yan carefully spoke. Who are you? You are me, and I am you, the woman's voice explains. Right now, the task at hand is to increase your strength. Only by doing so can you deal with those shameless individuals from the celestial realm. Celestial realm? A frown appears on Yan's perplexed face. What happened between you and them? Can I know the reasoning behind the strong grudge? A snarling laugh rocks the world. It's filled with disdain and disgust like that of someone speaking about their sworn enemy. Those hypocrites wanted to use me because I'm considered special in their eyes. When I didn't play along with their plan, they announced to the world that I would destroy everything that is known to mankind. They hunted me for their greed and their deception. And then there's that so-called childhood friend of mine. I trusted him, believed in him when he said he would protect me as long as he lives, but for the sake of the celestial realm, he abandoned me and joined forces with those who wished me harm. Yan's heart quivered at the notion. She's supposed to be listening in from the perspective of an outsider, yet it's not giving her that unrelated emotion that should have been there. It's painful, so painful that she wanted to clench her own heart from the intense pounding. Then that's when the picture of that man in white appeared again, the one from her dreams. She understands now. The unknown individual with his back facing her. He's the childhood friend mentioned here by that voice, the betrayer. Miracle for A person who ignores her for the sake of the celestial realm. Did you just say you were special? She frowns. Can you tell me why? It took a minute for that voice to return, but it did eventually after leaving by Yin standing there. I cannot tell you. It brought me great disaster when I became aware of that truth not long after my persecution. For your safety, you need to wait because it will only hinder your development with your strength. Pausing for a second, the voice seems to have thought of something else. And this wisp of my soul, its mission is to tell you something important. Do you have a little dragon around? Bai Yin widened her eyes in surprise. Are you talking about Dragoni? Yes, you must keep her safe. She is the one who can protect you in the future. In addition, I am ashamed to say that I owe the four sacred beasts an apology in failing them. My hope is that you can find them again. Musing for a second before speaking. Suzaku is still alive and well, and I've found Azure Dragon and White Tiger already. Now the only one missing is Black Turtle. Black Turtle? The voice suddenly choked at the name. I remember burying him in another place. If he's reincarnated, he's going to be there as well. I'm sorry, I can't remember where exactly. It's been so long. No matter how powerful one was in life, a wisp of their soul was still just a wisp. Plus, it's been so long. The past was bound to leave this voice like everything in life. Bai Yin looked up, wanted to trail the voice. However, the view has become obscured again by the mist at this point. You don't have to look. You can't see me, and I don't want you to see me either, said the voice with a tinge of cheer in there. What's more, what is there to see? I am you after all. Bai Yin hung her head, contemplating the words she's heard so far and the illusionary dreams about that battlefield. So that's my past life? I believe what you've said, but that's not what I'm here for. They say the 3 keys can open a miracle here. That's what I'm seeking. Only by being stronger can I fight my enemies. The voice suddenly breaks out into a chuckling laugh, somehow portraying no emotion, yet able to dazzle Bai Yin into a trance due to how beautiful it was. I did give you items that could open up this place to 3 different individuals back then. I just didn't expect them to pass it down as some sort of miracles. Bai Yin pricks her brow. Not miracles? Then those from the spirit realm really came for nothing last time. No matter, it's good that I got in here. At least I now know what I must do, and the question about that battlefield is now resolved. But the woman's voice pauses again. What I left behind may be useless for others, but it's indeed a miracle for you specifically. Lighting up at her eyes, what I need to do? You don't have to do anything. Let my soul merge with you, and you will naturally break through into the celestial rank. Compared to the heroic and majestic tone from earlier, the voice now grew softer and more caring. Though the suggestion startled Bai Yin for a second, she didn't back down. All right, what do you need me to do during the fusion? Don't resist my entry, relax, and take in everything that is me. I will guide my soul and yours together, becoming one again. Merging of the soul, one. Bai Yin slowly closed her eyes as instructed. However, it's exactly then a strange force rushed into her mind and dived straight into the soul. It's painful, like a sharp needle piercing through her skin, causing a shudder to run down her spine. Nevertheless, she endures and allowed the other side to enter with ease. Due to the fact that their souls are consciously trying to merge, Bai Yin had the ability to detect everything that's happening from within. This meant that the female soul that entered her body was in all intent exposed to her probing. She wore an average and plain-looking dress. Nothing special about that. But the eerie and spooky smirk that appeared on the woman's face sent the alarms in Bai Yin's mind blaring. Boom! Without indication, an intense force blasted the main core that was her own soul, causing a mouthful of blood to come squirting out of the mouth. What are you trying to do? She said, biting her lips in exasperation as those hands clenched into a fist. Kakik! The strange and eerie laugh rocked her mind, making Bai Yin's complexion to go white and losing all forms of color. Do you know how many years it has been since I was in here? Although I was part of your soul when I first split from you, but now my consciousness is my own and not a simple fragment of yours anymore. If it wasn't for the sealed powers of the 4 sacred beasts in here protecting you from me at the beginning, I would have reaped control of your body from the very start. But you are foolish. opening yourself up to me without a second thought. Quivering at the truth, Bai Yan's eyes instinctively looked up to the sky where the hazy contour of the four sacred beasts appeared. They're attacking the barrier that's blocking off herself from them, and they're very anxious and urgent to get to her. A wisp of soul can have their own personality? Muttering this like she's speaking to herself, Bai Yan's temple furrowed into a knot at this new knowledge. It's exactly as this fragmented soul said. It's what Bai Yan's previous self had left behind, but through the baptism of Ian's past, this thing has now developed its own personality and intends to wipe the original host away in order to take the body. You can't even begin to imagine the sort of things I had to go through, day in and day out, waiting here in this place with no knowledge if I will ever get out because of you. But you have come, and so willingly at that. I thank you for the opportunity, the other me. Don't worry, though. I will love your husband and son like you did. After all, we're the same person in the end. Originally, Bai Yan was flustered and even panicked at the predicament she threw herself into. But once Di Tsong's name was brought up and the image of that dashing masculine face popping up in her mind, any hesitation and uncertainty was resolved. She's determined, not only for her own life, but for her husband, and most importantly, her own boy. That naughty yet lovable son of hers, the one Bai Yan could never leave behind. I need no one else to love them. I alone am enough. Don't get ahead of yourself. Bursting open her eyes with fire in them. I am the original. I refuse to believe a mere fragment of my own soul can outdo the original. You will be defeated by me and will submit to my will. Humph! I have never yielded in my life, not this one or the past. Even against the heavens, I have never feared, let alone a mere shard of my former self. Thinking up to here, Bai Yan didn't wait and sat herself into a meditative pose, gathering all her focus on battling this invasive force. Merging of the soul, to boom, a powerful and raging force explodes out of Bai Yan's core, forcing the invasive soul to backpedal several steps. You're just a high-level saint rank. How is that possible? There's horror and disbelief in the female soul's eye. Sneering, it was her turn to go on the offensive. It may not be possible for others, but it's me. And you're just a part of me in essence. Damn it. A flash of viciousness flared in the soul's eye. Originally, she only said all that in order to make Bai Yan loosen her guard. She didn't expect the effects to be counter-effective and make her blow up. No, I've waited for over 1,000 years. I cannot give up on this chance. I don't want to be just a soul. I want to be a real person, determined as well. The soul fragment rushed towards Bai Yan's core again, her figure becoming sharp like a blade ready to tear into it. However, forget about drawing close. She didn't even manage that before being blown away by the invisible force. Didn't I say it already? You're just a part of me, and now I'm going to take you back. Bai Yan coldly states this with full-on malice in her words. Then, without further urging, her own soul began to spread like a plague, which directly eases the anxious-looking ethereal beasts hovering outside the barrier. No, the soul fragment shrieks. Please let me go, I was wrong. I won't dare to go against you anymore. Please don't melt me. Unfortunately for this overly confident existence, Bai Yan felt nothing at the plea. After all, it's like she said before, they are one and the same in the end. So, without another word, her own soul completely tosses itself in with the attacker and becomes an entangled hot mess. And since the fusion of soul doesn't happen in merely just a day or two, it would be a while before her consciousness fully returned to normal. Spirit Realm. Inside a large palace, Lu Qingyu, spy, was sitting quietly inside the garden pavilion when a girl hurried over to make a report. Miss, your father wants to see you. He's looking for me. She cocks a brow in surprise. Do you know why? I do not know, milady. Then you go first. The lady waves her hand, dismissing the maid with that gesture, and began musing over the sudden summoning. Ever since that day, she submitted to Bai Yan at the Misty Fairy House. Lu Qingyu's life hasn't been her own to decide. Therefore, as unwilling as she was to return to the spirit realm, this woman could only do as told. Fortunately, the lies she spouted worked in front of her father's eye and didn't raise any form of doubt. Otherwise, she wouldn't know what to do then. But this summoning, after 2 months of nothing, it worries her. Uncle June, caressing her chin. A flash of coldness flickered in the lady's eye. Are you able to guess why that old thing is looking for me? Lu Qingyu was undoubtedly a noble lady of the spirit realm, but due to her father's lack of care and even disdain for her existence, she's never been able to experience the kind treatment that came with her status. Heck, even her surname was that of her own mother and not her father's. Merging of the soul 3. Junho's response came right away. I suspect the spirit lord is planning to make a big move. Shuddering inside, Lu Qingyu's posture grew tense. Let's go. We need to go investigate the matter. I can only hope that the old thing doesn't go to the mainland otherwise. With Baiyan's current strength, she's no match for him. At that thought, the lady immediately headed out for the assembly hall, her face pale and unease apparent. Already inside the main hall, a fierce-looking white-haired elder was already sitting atop of the throne chair, his gaze scanning inspectively at the gathered crowd beneath himself. Sit down if you're here. Stone-hard and unreadable as usual in these types of meetings, Lu Qingyu takes the seat furthest in the back with Uncle June standing right beside her like a protective umbrella. I'll begin now that you're all here, said He-Fei Xiang, Spirit Lord, with his powerful and overbearing voice. The seal has been lifted not long ago. That means we are no longer limited to this tiny place anymore. Prepare, all of you, we're going to be attacking the mainland. That sent Lu Qingyu into a numbing chill. It's exactly as she suspected, they're attacking. Now the only question remains with the wording right there. They're clearing aiming for the 3 miracles. Why say they're attacking the mainland as an excuse? Father, please allow your son, I to handle this matter. In the seat furthest to the front, a man stands up and makes this proposal. Despite the individual being young in appearance, quite handsome and dashing even with a face no more than 30 or 40 years old, he's in fact over a century in age. Nodding in agreement regarding his favorite son's suggestion, He-Fei Xiang didn't have any objection. Very well, you will be the leading figure in our attack at the main human world. Remember, no one is allowed to live once you are over there. Slaughter them all. This order shocked the lady for the second time today. She's staring wide-eyed in horror. Sure, Lu Qingyu too had attacked the mainland before, but she never told her men to slaughter the weak and innocent. This old thing is going to kill everyone on the mainland? That's genocide. Father, isn't that too much? Gritting her teeth, the lady forces herself to make a protest despite knowing the sort of discrimination against herself. Isn't it enough to simply expel those living there when occupying the mainland? Why must we let a river of blood flow? Shut your mouth. Father does not need someone like you dictating what he does or doesn't. He-Lu, the oldest son, snaps, his voice sarcastic and mocking. Besides, the inhabitants of those lands are nothing but insects in comparison to us, the denizens of the spirit realm. Why does mere pests have to share in the resources that should have rightfully belonged to us? Although the level of spiritual particulars in this small little realm were superior to the mainland, but it's still small in comparison. There's food, there's land, and there's many unexplored resources waiting to be exploited. How could He-Lu endure the boring days that was the spirit realm? I'm not dictating Father's decision, Lu Qingyu clenches her fist, a flash of anger permeating those eyes. However, before the lady could finish her words, an interruption was shot over in the form of a cold, snickering sneer. You're nothing but a bastard child with a different surname. How dare you talk back to me? Father's words are law, and the world has always been the survival of the fittest. Those insects are only good as a stepping stone for us. Lu Qingyu's expression flew into a rage. If she hadn't known these people wouldn't heed her words, then she might have really lost it. In the end, this lady could only retract her emotions like a stone statue to their ridicules, just like in the past. Merging of the soul, for Father, she looks directly up to her own father with firm eyes. There is a girl from the mainland, the wife of the Demon King. If we massacre the lives in the human world, I fear it might provoke the demon realm in force. Fei Xiang had a frown on his old face then. It's not like he doesn't know about this intel. In fact, he knew more than he let on to the public. For example, regarding the incident where Di Tsong exterminated the former Snake clan, because of that woman, he knows about it too. However, there's not only the 3 miracles that's attractive in this spirit lord's eye, there's also many other treasures awaiting him. I am firm on this matter. There's no need for further discussion. Lu Qingyu, the matter is settled and will be handled by your brother He Lu. Piercing her own palm with the nails, Lu Qingyu gets up from her seat with a deep look. Father, you will regret it one day for not listening to me today. Without another word, she turns and left for the outside in a decisive manner. Father, this girl is too wild. Are you just going to let her be? We must teach her a lesson. He Lu grits his teeth, curving his lips into a smirk. Teach her a lesson? Son, that could be left to a later date. The first and foremost is conquering the mainland. If you can complete that mission well, I will make you my heir. Yes, father. A flare of delight enveloped the man's eye. That's right, Lu Qingyu. I will be the heir one day, and you, on the other hand, can only be an insect under my feet. All right, that will be all, everyone. Go back and carry out your businesses. Waving his hand, the spirit lord dismisses the group. Yes, cupping their fists, they complied readily and dispersed. Originally, He Lu was still ecstatic at his own future prospect, but that soon changed as soon as he's out the door. What are you still doing here? Huffing a grunt, he asked the woman in white. Are you really going to slaughter the humans living there? Oh, he sneers. Nothing but a group of insects. What do you care? If you don't listen to me, then don't blame me for your own destruction. Squinting her eyes in, Lu Qingyu carried a coldness in there that it's piercing. Just because you are incapable of doing something doesn't mean I will be the same as you. He Lu crosses his arm around the chest, the posture taunting. If you think you are so incredible, then go seduce that demon realm's king. Maybe then father will have a new opinion about a bastard child like you. Flushing red, Lu Qingyu was done at this point. Whisking her sleeve as she turned away, don't drag me down with you if you're so insistent on dying. Let's not mention the part about herself being Bai Yan's servant. Even if there's not that layer of relationship, she still wouldn't dare go seduce Di Tsong. Cruel, ruthless, bloodthirsty. That's merely a couple of the words used to describe that man. Lu Qingyu had no intent of becoming the second snake girl. After walking out of the estate and out of sight, she immediately turned around to give an order. Uncle Jun, go send someone to inform the demon realm regarding this matter. Actually, forget what I said and go in person. It's already too late to send a messenger. The spirit realm is bound to perish at this rate. I must carve a path out if I must survive in this chaotic era. Merging of the soul, 5, Holy Land. At the heart of this wondrous place, Lord Chu Ran was currently feeling quite uneasy as he stared at the bronze gate in front of himself. Elder Zhengqi frisked. I keep getting this unsettling feeling recently that something bad is about to happen. The first elder heaves a sigh in return. Lord, you are overthinking this too much. The world right now is very peaceful, so don't think too much of it. I hope so. Making a bittersweet smile, Lord Chu Ran wanted to believe that. However, the unease only grew like a dark, gloomy cloud hovering over his heart. Perhaps he's really jinxed it, but it's then an urgent-looking guard of the Holy Land came running over. His face showed panic and unease when kneeling. My lord, there's an old man by the name of Jun who was seeing an audience with you. Junhua. It took a moment before the Holy Lord realized who this individual was and where he's heard the name. What's going on? Why is the spy Yenner sent back to the spirit realm over here again? It can't be. Something bad is going to happen. Making a dark and glum face. Let him come in at once. Yes, my lord. The guard bowed and retreated in haste. Back over on the other side, Junhua was currently pacing back and forth outside the main gate when he suddenly realized how devoid of human presence his surroundings were. To think we have fallen to so low. A bittersweet smile curls out of the senior's lip, making him all the more sad in appearance. Despite not being favored back in the spirit realm, None would openly go provoke his lady's territory, knowing how strong Lu Qingyu was. But now, a simple audience with the Holy Lord requires someone to inform the host first instead of bringing him right inside. That's a very different sort of greeting if it was in the past. Of course, the discontent was still only discontent. This old senior would never dare show it on the surface. After all, this place was Bai Yan's territory. He'd be courting death to start anything here. Minutes later, the gatekeeper returns with a tone that's more respectful than their initial meeting. Senior Jun, please head on inside. The Lord is already waiting inside. Along the way, there were countless disciples constantly peering over, their eyes extremely curious as to who this old grandpa was. Nevertheless, Junhua never met their gazes, only following closely behind the gatekeeper so that he would hurry up in the feet. Minutes later, after many twists and turns through the forest and gravel pathways, they have arrived at the central island housing Bai Yan's bamboo cottage. I remember, Bai Yan had you go back to the spirit realm to act as a spy for her. Why did you return so soon? Is there something you need to say by seeking me out? Lord Chu Rand makes a frown that couldn't be missed, hurrying over with his hand cusp into a respective manner. Holy Lord, I came at the behest of my lady to pass on a critical message. What message? A wave of unease shook Chu Rand's heart. His worst fears are starting to come true. He could feel it. It's those people from the spirit realm. They want to attack the mainland. And this time, they don't intend to leave anyone alive. Not even the civilians. Boom. The news was like a heavy hammer, smashing into the Holy Lord's heart until it's crushed and scattered to pieces. What did you say? First Elder Zheng Qi snaps, his expression frantic as he grabbed onto the other man's collar. What kind of master do you have over there? How can he intend to slaughter everyone, and the innocents as well? Damn it. Breaking into the celestial rank. 1. This world may be dictated by the old ancient rule of survival of the fittest, but no one in the upper echelons would ever issue such a callous order. There's not much other reason. Simply because millions of lives are what they call weak. Murdering and slaughtering the main populace? That's absolutely crazy. Only a madman would try that. This order was issued by the Spirit Lord and will be carried out by his eldest son, Helu. I speculate there will likely be some celestial ranked masters coming with him, so you need to prepare. Celestial ranked? Chu Ran shuddered at the thought, his face extremely ugly. Even if the spirit realm sent a saint rank over, their 3 powers would still have trouble repelling the enemy, let alone masters 1 rank higher than that. Senior Jun, thank you for your message. Even in the face of such news, Lord Chu Rand didn't let himself fall into disarray. Slowly loosening his fist, I will let Bai Yin know about what you've done for us and nothing less. Only then did the senior release the breath that he didn't know he was holding in. For Junhua, the Holy Lord's promise was the most important and the main purpose for him coming in person. There's no need to worry so much, Holy Lord. I have already sent someone to go inform the demon realm and its king. I'm sure reinforcements are coming and that they only need some time to prepare. Making a flattering smile so that he looks sincere. I'll take my leave first since it's getting late. Please begin making preparations during this period. Arching his fist, Senior Jun didn't look back and walked out of the Holy Land. Once the sight of the guest was gone, Lord Chu Rand didn't wait and narrowed his eyes in. Zheng Qi, go inform by Chongfeng and Chief Wu Wei to come here. Let them know we must discuss the matter as soon as they can make it. As much trust he has for Bai Yin, they could never entrust the survival of everyone in this realm to another outside force. At the very least, they must organize a resistance and backup plan lest they fail in the end. Important seeds must be kept safe and planted for the future. Yes, Lord, the first elder nods, showing the concern on his old face. Perhaps this time will be the greatest our holy land has ever come across since its inception. The medicine sect wasn't far from the Holy Land in terms of distances. Rather, it was the misty fairy house that required some traveling. Even so, it only took 2 days before both leaders arrived at the Holy Land after being informed of the situation. They are too much. Bai Chongfeng of the medicine sect slams the table with his fist, causing the structure to shatter into 2 halves. Those blasted people from the spirit realm. It's enough that they tried to claim the miracle in our hands. They also want to massacre the human world? We can't do nothing. Chief Wu Wei was more level-headed when he spoke. Did you not hear Lord Chu Rant's word just now? They say there's going to be celestial rank masters coming with the invasion. Do you think with our strength of a saint rank can resist those people? That remark instantly sniffed the life out of the old grandpa, because it's a fact, the truth. Let's not argue on this matter. Lord Chu Ran also had a worried face when he decides to join in their discussion. I've thought of this already. We do not need to defeat those that's coming. Instead, we should focus on stalling them until the reinforcements from the demon realm arrives to help us. That should be enough to secure our victory. Breaking into the celestial rank, 2. What solution do you have in mind, Lord Chu Ran? After stabilizing his mood, Bai Chong Feng asked with a deep concern in his old voice. Gather your elite disciples and remaining elders here. We will transfer them to the Holy Island. Why? Asked the old grandpa with a perplexed look. It's because one of my forefathers left behind a protective barrier around this island here. It's able to resist the attacks of a celestial rank for several days. That should be enough time for the reinforcements to arrive. Regarding the barrier around this holy island, not even Chui-Yi, daughter, was aware of it. That's how much emphasis the Holy Lord had for Bai Yin when he gave her this place. But what about the others? Bai Chong Feng laments a sigh, knowing full well what it meant for the less important members. Gritting his teeth, one could literally hear the hardness in Lord Chu Rant's voice. I cannot watch over that many people, so retaining our main fighting force is the utmost importance. Only by having the seeds protected will we be able to confront those from the spirit realm in the future. Settling down to get his act together, they will have to hide at the heart of the abyss forest with those demonic beasts. Bai Chong Feng and Chief Wu Wei both got it now. The man was gambling that the spirit realm wouldn't dare to openly attack the members of the demon realm. Sure, demonic beasts aren't capable of taking on human form yet, likely never will in their lifetime here in the human world, but they're still considered part of the demon realm. If they're slaughtered as well, it's bound to start a large-scale war for the transgression. I have noticed it through that Lu Qing Yu's attitude from before. They're extremely cautious of the demon realm. I've confirmed this fact from the old texts in my treasury. Demons haven't always been so weak here in the mainland. In fact, they were feared and often avoided due to the protection provided by the demon realm thousands of years ago. The situation only changed after the various realms were sealed. So, I'm betting on those people not daring to enact the same carnage they wish to carry out on us to those living in the abyss. Chu Ran carefully explains his reasoning, believing it's logical and a good choice considering the circumstances they have to work with. Very well, we will do as you say, muttered the medicine lord. However, I will need to trouble you to bring my disciples over from the medicine sect. I still have other things I must do. What's the matter? I'm going to pick up the lawn house. Making a faint smile, the medicine lord didn't bother to hide his wish. They're the only ones who didn't abandon Yenner during her time of need. For that, I must keep them safe for her sake. I cannot allow my granddaughter to lose another family member. I know this will take up more room on the island. That's why I'm willing to subtract a couple of spots from my side to accommodate that family. Chu Ran actually gawked his mouth in surprise before issuing a long sigh with his head shaking. Taking that as his way of not agreeing, Chief Wu Wei immediately grew hurried like his counterpart. If not, we could subtract some spots from my Misty Fairy house. The Lawn family must be able to hide inside the Holy Island. Making a bittersweet smile of his own, Lord Chu Ran decides to stop teasing the two. Let's stop arguing. I never said I won't agree. I'm just lamenting how lucky the Lawn family is. If they didn't have such a wonderful granddaughter, they might not make it through this peril. Though the face showed a willingness to help, but the eyes were that of worry. If we work fast starting from today, I'm sure we will be able to accommodate over 3,000 people on this island. As for the Lawn family, there are only a few of them. They can't take up much room. The promise elevated the tenseness in the two grandfathers' posture and even changed by Chong Feng's former opinion of the Holy Lord. But Chu Ran continues. In order to keep Bai Yin from being disturbed, I will still keep the surrounding area around the gate off limits to the disciples and elders. Breaking into the celestial rank 3, releasing a long breath that was in him, Bai Chongfeng knew there's no better arrangement. That's fine. I will go bring the Lan family over now. According to his calculations, that household should only have around 9 members in total if he included the aunts, uncles, and kids. However, there's also that old dowager of the Lu Hua kingdom. She's also highly favored by his granddaughter. That's why he's also going to bring that woman here as well. In total, that makes 10 spots. Right now, the calamity that's about to befall the mainland was still unknown to most of the populace. In fact, it's calm like a serene puddle where there's no ripples on the surface. Is what you say true? Old Lord Lan spurts this after hearing it face first from the medicine lord. Bai Chongfeng didn't want to beat around the bush, so he firmly nodded in confirmation. I would never use the vast number of lives in this land as a joke. Chief Lan, do come with me to the Holy Land where it's safe. I'm sure Yenner would be very sad if anything happens to you. A response didn't come right away from the old grandpa, who's known to have a bad temper. Instead, he gazed down at the floor as if contemplating something before looking back up with a helpless smile. I've seen many things over the years, whatever turbulent wave and wind. I've experienced it all. Take my wife and children away. I'm staying behind. Chief Lan, Bai Chongfeng frowns, not approving the decision in the least. What do you mean? Showing a bittersweet smile. Look around my home. It's not just my family who lives here. There are those who followed me through thick and thin. When my household was at its lowest, they never once thought of abandoning us. Now in front of such great danger, I cannot leave and ignore their lives. I owe it to them for that loyalty. At this moment, the medicine lord felt like a rock just got chugged down into his throat, suffocating him from shame. How could he not turn red after hearing such proud words? He's the leader of one of the great powers, and what does he do? Leave behind most of the disciples, while keeping only the main ones at a safe place. Regardless of the reasoning, it doesn't change the fact that he's abandoning them. Suddenly, the door got pushed open, and in came an old lady using a crutch. Behind her were Lan Yu, son, and the rest of the family members. They're afraid the grandmother would suffer some sort of accident from exploding in rage. Old man, what are you planning by driving us away? Don't think you can stay behind on your own. The old madam of this household has always been elegant and gentle by nature. For her show such anger was beyond fathom in the eyes of these children. It didn't help either when she kept smacking the floorboard with that clutch and looked like she might tip over from the loss of balance. Wife, old Lord Lan sounded hoarse and troubled in his voice. You and the children need to leave with Lord Bai. Don't worry about me. Did you not hear what he said? Me and the rest of the household will head into the abyss for refuge. The old madam huffs a grunt. Of course I heard what he said, but what makes you so certain those enemies wouldn't attack the abyss? I don't care. Wherever you go, I go. That statement has left the old stubborn grandfather in a bind. He wants his wife and children to be safe, but he also couldn't abandon the rest of the household to their own fate. Loyalty versus love for his family. The struggle here felt like it's tearing the poor man apart. Please listen to me, First Chief Lan, said the increasingly concerned medicine lord. Making a cough, I and the demon beasts living inside the abyss forest are on somewhat familiar terms. Since you were so adamant about keeping your followers' safety, I will personally make a request to them, asking the locals to offer shelter to your men and women. They will be safe, that you don't need to fret. There's no lie. Old Lord Lan still sounded skeptical, flashing with light in his eyes at the flicker of hope to change this stubborn old guy's mind. Bai Chongfeng doubles down on the offer. If you are willing to come with me to the Holy Island, then I will keep that promise, of course. If you're not willing, well, I'm sorry, but I will have to take some drastic measures. Don't blame me afterwards. His argument sounded great and all. Heck, it's very tempting even for the average gentleman. Sadly, their risks involve regardless of how much sugar he added to those words. What if the spirit realm invaders decide to ignore the Holy Land and go slaughter the demon beasts in the abyss for some unknown reason? So, even if he has to drag this stubborn old man along, Bai Changfeng would do it regardless of the individual's wish or will. Breaking into the celestial rank. 4. Chief Lan, I know Yenner doesn't want to see you in danger. If the threat can't convince you, then I might as well directly knock you out to leave. Slowly rising from his seat, Bai Changfeng's voice carried a faint hint of threat, showing how serious he was about the matter. Old Lord Lan was completely taken aback by this picture. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, the stubborn old grandfather didn't expect this famed medicine lord to be so despicably shameless. I have also heard that your eldest grandson is currently trying to woo the current queen of the Fengqi kingdom, is he not? Although that lassie isn't one of the core disciples of the Holy Land, but with my influence, I can also get a spot on the Holy Island for her. What do you say, Chief Lan? That's a good offer on my part, isn't it? All smiles there, Bai Changfeng whipped out the carrot and the stick, leaving nothing untouched in this discussion. Almost crying in his old face, Old Lord Lan felt like a helpless kid right now, in front of his own family and relatives. Making a bittersweet smile in the end with obvious worry for the rest of his followers still. You're already going that far. What else can I say when it's either me being knocked unconscious or come willingly? Chief Lan, let's do this. Go speak with your people and have them all wear the exact same uniform. This way the demon beasts living in the abyss can recognize who they are and keep a close eye on their safety. The Abyss Forest is treacherously dangerous to begin with. If anything, those from the Lan family can flee with the demon beasts when the going gets tough. They should have enough room to hide in that vast stretch of land. Then I will have to bother Lord Bai to arrange this, said the stubborn old grandfather. Old Madame Lan and the rest of the family were very much relieved by the stubborn man's compliance. They honestly thought he would get stupid again and refuse to leave with them. With the main goal completed, Bai Changfeng figured it's time he told the rest of the world about the impending danger and how they should head to the abyss as well for safety. The ones who believed the news didn't hesitate and promptly packed up their luggage at the first sunrise. The quickest to move would of course be the flower brothel and the alchemist that Bai Yin helped produce. Hua Luo has always been faithful to her mistress. By leading over 1,000 members under her, she led the first batch into the vast forest that made up the abyss. As for the second wave of refugees, it had to be the demon beast sect that submitted to the little steam bun a while back. They are firmly in belief that the boy was their savior, and what other convincing did they need when their prize dragon was now acting all tame thanks to the boy's arrival? Unfortunately, more were of the opinion that Bai Changfeng has lost his mind due to being old and senile. It couldn't be helped. The homes, the territories, the wealth, these were all precious to the commoners and lower factions out there. Telling them to abandon everything that was their foundation merely based on a single man's words were ludicrous. Inside the bronze gate, sitting crossed-legged on the ground, Bai Yin had an air of white constantly surrounding her body that's exuding a faint blue glow. Boom! Suddenly, a streak of heavy thunder rocked the whiteness in the sky before landing directly onto the woman's body. Breaking into the celestial rank, 5, like a stone sculpture sitting on the ground, she doesn't move. Boom! A flurry of lightning strikes came smashing down in concession, one stronger than the last. It wasn't until half an hour later did the trial come to a halt and allowed the glow from her body to evaporate into the air. Because of the fact that she made the advancement inside a separate space, those outside remains unaware of her breakthrough still. Half a ring later, Bai Yin finally opens her eye and looked around at the 4 false shadows surrounding herself. Seemingly aware of their mission being completed, the love and yearning they gave were undeniable. Even so, the shadows eventually returned to the darkness despite their unwillingness. Bai Yan's heart clenched at their departure. Though she knows they do not exist in this place, but the instinct to reach out doesn't change. One day, I'll reunite the 4 of you. Then we can fight our way back to the celestial realm. They will pay for what they've done to you all. Inhaling deeply, Bai Yin eventually rose from the floor and continued to walk further inside. It's just that her journey didn't make it more than few steps before stopping again. Not far away, a black pool of thick, nauseous liquid was giving off a nasty smell into the air. It's making her uncomfortable, and she didn't like it. This pool of energy, why is there something like this here? It can't be my soul fragment mutated because of this thing. That's why it produced its own personality and wanted to devour me. Her expression gradually grew heavy, getting a strong suspicion that this dark, gooey mass wasn't right. Noticing an object next to the pool, Bai-Yin immediately flashed step to the side and got hold of the item. It's a bamboo scroll upon first glance. Alchemic recipe? When reading its content, her eyes nearly popped out from the name. Heck, even her hands were trembling with joy. 10th grade alchemic recipe, Godhood Dan pill. It's true that when Bai-Yin first attempted the 8th grade pill in the Misty Fairy house, it was very difficult, mainly due to her body being unable to resist the thunder strikes from above. However, she's already at the saint rank now. Her flesh has been transformed and reborn, meaning it's very possible for her to try this recipe. 1 Godhood Dan pill, 1 celestial rank. Due to the effectiveness of the medicine, the process is extremely demanding with very difficult to procure ingredients. In addition, the alchemist's soul must also be strong. Otherwise, the pressure will cause permanent damage to the lower half of the body, effectively crippling the individual. Bai-Yin went silent upon reading this part. I just merged with a fragment of my soul. That should be enough, right? Pausing then, she got hesitant and became unsure if this was the right move. The reason why this alchemic recipe was sealed and graded as a 10th grade formula is because it requires the strength of a celestial rank to refine. I hope that whoever can get their hands on this would use it to the benefit of the future generations. This way my efforts wouldn't be for naught and forgotten. Godhood Dan pill, 1. Retracting the bamboo scroll into her storage ring, Bai-Yin's sight now focuses back onto the pool in front of herself. For some reason, the image of a huge black dragon kept creeping up into her mind the more she looked at it. Not wanting to twiddle with something even she felt uncomfortable toying with, Bai-Yin quickly left the premise and continued forward. It's a good thing, too, because the deeper she went, the better her senses became due to the increased amount of spirit particles around the air that swept away the earlier discomfort created by that puddle of black liquid. She suddenly stops, showing shock in her eyes over the garden of herbs and rare ingredients. Incredible. There's so many rare herbs that I never thought I would ever come across, and the ingredients listed from the recipe is also here. The more Bai-Yin stared at what lies in front of herself, the more excited she became. With all this, I can try making that Godhood Dan pill today. Standing not far from where she stood was a withered old tree. It's completely black in color to the point where it looked like it's been burned to a crisp, yet the surface gave off a shiny sheen like some sort of marble material. But that's not what alarmed Bai-Yin the most. It's one of the dried husky leaves that dropped to the floor. On the very moment when the flimsy-looking sheet of organic material hit the ground, it instantly vaporized into a wisp of black smoke and flew towards the general direction of where the black pond was located. Understanding now. So that's why this is the reason why that water is contaminated. It's from this tree. But why? Why is this tree doing that? I have never seen anything like this before. A lot of questions remain unanswered, but since the tree was planted by the original owner of this space, Bai-Yin figured there must be a reason. Perhaps there's a use for that black pool of water even. Pity, though, she's in no condition to start pursuing the matter. Gathering the herbs and ignoring her own curiosity, it didn't take long for Bai-Yin to gather everything and to get the needed ingredients ready for her impending refinement session. I should do it here. If outside, the thundering strikes might just wreck my entire island. The image of her neat little cottage and lovely garden being torn to shreds didn't sit well with this control freak at all. That decided, she immediately brought out the cauldron to begin working. How funny, heaving a long sigh. Back on Earth I died because I was trying to refine a 9th grade Dan pill, and now I'm challenging something even harder and more powerful. This time I must succeed. Failure is not an option. Stern and serious in her face, Bai-Yin flicks a finger and ignites a fire beneath the cauldron. Then, with careful precision, she uses her powers to send each ingredient mentioned on the list into the container for further processing. Across the continent, making up the main body of the human world, Blood was flowing and staining this landscape from top to bottom. It's a dark time right now, and no one was safe as the invaders attacked en masse. For those unwilling to heed the warning, they were the first to go, trying to defend their own homes. Sadly, whatever resistance they offered the attackers from the spirit realm were futile and were quickly squashed. Sir, the territory up ahead are homes to those monsters in servitude to the demon realm. Should we continue to attack? At this moment, Lu was riding atop of a magnificent-looking steed with a pronounced high lineage. This eldest son of the Spirit Lord was reveling in his glorious conquest of the human world and could care less about the obstacle up ahead. Godhood Dan Pill, too. Father's order is that no one here in these lands are allowed to live, and since these demonic beasts are living here, they too are within that range. Sir, said an old man next to Lu, the demon as a race have always been very united against outsiders. If they learn of what we do today, it might just provoke a war between the two realms. Lu snorts derisively at that comment. I heard the granddaughter of that medicine sect is the wife of that demon king. And didn't we attack her before? It's the same as declaring war. What does it matter if we slaughter a few demonic beasts now? The old man frowns and got more disgruntled in his face. The Spirit Lord have always been wise and intelligent. How can his son be so clueless and foolish? The two issues cannot be compared together. The denizens of the demon realm aren't stupid. No matter how prestigious a queen is, she's still only one human. We can always claim to be unaware later and use that as an excuse. What's more, they're already at war with the celestial realm. They wouldn't want to be confronted on two different fronts. By then, we could just feign ignorance and compensate with some sort of material gift. As for the monsters here in the forest, the old man stifles a smirk to avoid showing his own disdain for others. It's well known the demon realm have issued an edict to every other realm long ago. Anyone who attacks their kin will be hunted down to the ends of the world. Consider sparing these demonic beasts as a favor to the demon king. After all, we're already going after his queen. In other words, his opinion was that the demon realm should thank them for sparing their kin and not be infuriated for even having that idea. And I don't intend to kill the demon queen. What do you mean by that? Narrowing his eyes in, Lu turns to stare at the senior wearing the pine flower patterned robe. This old thing, relying on his strength as a celestial rank to defy me. He's even daring enough to refuse my orders. Even if we claim not to know of that woman being the demon queen, but what if, pausing, the old man attempts to let his words sink in. What if the demons refuse to leave the matter, be even with compensation? Lu burst out into a sniggering laughter. It's cold and derisive as it rang across the city. So, according to Elder Yuan's wording, you want us to not kill anyone from the medicine sect, Misty Fairy House, and Holy Land as well? Is that what you mean? No, the old man shook his head. The monsters are known to have a short fuse when protecting their own kin. That's true. However, when have you seen them protecting humanity? Even if the demon king pampers his own queen, the woman's relatives are only ordinary humans. We can kill them and any other human without having to worry about the won't repercussion from the act. At most, the demon king will only ask for some sort of compensation in order to satisfy his woman's need. Compared to the wealth this land provides, that's nothing. Elder Yuan, an insufferable anger fills Lu's chest. Don't forget what my father's orders are. When carrying out the invasion, you are to assist me in my goal. So, I'm telling you now, whether it be humans or demonic beasts, all must die. Red in the face, the arrogant man's spit was flying all over the senior's face when he started yelling. Stone cold without a hint of emotion now. Elder Yuan responds in a rather bland voice. If you want to go die, then you can do it on your own. We here won't accompany you into the abyss forest. You, pointing his accusing finger with grit between his teeth. Good, very good. Once we get back to the spirit realm, I will report everything to my father and have him decide. Godhood Danpill 3, heavily whisking his sleeve, Lu was done with this and turned away. He knew trying to force the matter won't get him anywhere, especially when the other side was so open in dismissing his order. Due to the news of their invasion being delivered long ago, The core members of the three main powers have long gathered at the island making up the heart of the Holy Land. It's crowded, very crowded to the point where the occupants could hardly find room to stand around, let alone lie down to rest. Sir, Elder Yuan suddenly raises a hand after finding how eerily quiet and displaced the Holy Land appeared from the outside. What's wrong with you? Lu turned back again, his face exasperated with frustration due to the repeated delay and insubordination. Don't you find it strange that the Holy Land is so empty? Elder Yuan says with a frown. In fact, I've noticed it along our way already. Of the many forces that has been squashed by us, many have either abandoned their homes before our arrival or are lacking in defenders. I suspect our whereabouts have been exposed. Unlike other times when they attacked a place, they did not linger in a single area for long, only sending a couple of their subordinates to perform a massacre at the local ruler's home. Sure, in comparison to Baiyan's strength, these grunts wouldn't pose much of a threat, but to the average cultivator and lord, they're hugely superior and were easily overwhelmed. Just as Yuan Xiao was undecided and meditating on whether to continue, a fluctuation in the air instantly caught his senses. Those old eyes lit up as a result of this fact. There are people there. Leaning forward in an attack stance, the senior's figure instantly disappeared from sight for whatever's ahead. Lu was very ugly in the face right now after being tossed behind. Sadly, the old bones that's constantly dismissing his authority was the strongest subordinate among his group, so he could only stuff the complaint and follow. Under the effects of a hollering voice, the noisy clamoring on the island was instantly sniffed out. Yuan Xiao of the Spirit Realm is here for a visit. Might the hosts of the Holy Land come out to meet me? The words may be polite, but the tone was sharp and tough. So they're here. Getting up right away, Lord Chu Ran clenched his fist with a solemn expression. He could see the old figure standing up in the air, staring down at him. Bai Chongfeng and Chief Wu Wei weren't looking great either on their faces because they didn't expect the Spirit Realm's people to come so quickly. Thankfully, the preparations are complete, otherwise disaster would be today's ending. Lu and the rest arrived soon after, and when he saw Chu Ran and the others all gather inside the island, his mouth involuntarily laughed aloud with boisterous glee. So you're all hiding in this place, huh? What, think just because of that we can't do anything to you bunch? Someone come, slay them all. Yes, sir. At the word, a shadow from the back instantly shot out like a lightning bolt and aimed straight for the heart of the island. Due to the immense speed he used, it's almost impossible for the individual to stop at this point, even if he wanted to. Boom. That's the sound of the individuals slamming into the invisible wall. The invader never expected a barrier. So, not only did he suffer an incredible injury from the impact, he also ends up flying backwards from the recoiling force of his own making. Godhood Dan Pill, for the excitement gradually seeped out of Lu's face, his eyes squinting with icy intent. What's going on here? Yuan Xiao's reply came moments later in response to that. There's a barrier seal around this island. It's blocking our access to it. Barrier? Lu snarls derisively. That subordinate of mine is already at the middle level of the saint rank. What barrier can stop him? A saint rank may not be the strongest within the spirit realm, but in this land where the strongest was only at that level, it's already an unshakable existence. Sir, there are always stronger people out there, and it's not surprising for this holy land to have some sort of barrier in place either. Focusing his attention back onto the island after that explanation, the senior takes a step forward. I will go test the barrier for myself. Boom. Throwing a punch that's been infused with a sizable chunk of his own powers. Yuan Xiao only wanted to assess the level of resistance from the attack. However, the repelling force completely took him by surprise, knocking the poor elder back several steps and leaving a trickle of blood coming out of his mouth. Lu should have been worried at the sight, but of course, he's a small man with a very small heart. Without so much as a word of comfort or inquiry, he started to sneer and clicked his tongue in contempt. Elder Yuan, can you do it or what? I thought you were strong. That's why I brought you along. Who could have thought that you would be so incompetent that a simple barrier can stop you? The old senior was injured to begin with from that recoil, Therefore, the words were extremely effective in causing further damage. If Yuan Shio hadn't experienced so much in life, he would have already started to puke blood from those damnable words. Inhaling deeply and ignoring the ignorant fool. Everyone of the celestial rank and higher, come to my side and assist me in breaking this barrier. At the drop of that order, several powerful individuals immediately stepped forward from the group, their eyes cold and stern when standing next to their leader. The following attacks were fierce. Though the barrier continued to hold under this bombardment, the people inside were definitely feeling the tremors as a result. Lord Chu ran. "Nothing will happen, right?" asked the medicine lord with a concerned voice. Twitching in the corner of his mouth, the Holy Lord attempts to reassure his peers while also reassuring himself. What else can happen? This barrier seal is something my forefathers left behind, so it shouldn't fail. Of course, there's no way to confirm that belief right now, since it's been ages since the seal has been activated. Maybe it's been damaged in some way due to wear and tear. Father, Chu Yi shrinks her neck in while clinging to her old man's back. It's obvious the princess of this holy land had some doubt based on her demeanor. Are you sure this barrier is reliable? Why do I feel like your words are not believable? Coughing awkwardly at being pointed out, although this barrier won't last forever, it should be adequate until reinforcement arrives. Don't worry, it will hold. Unfortunately, the next quake from the impacting blows came as soon as those words left this mouth, further destroying the credibility of that statement. Who's he kidding? It's a direct slap across the face. Embarrassed and spluttering now. It's going to be all right. Nothing's going to happen. Boom. This time, even waves had started to rack up along the water's surface, causing many standing to falter and stumble. No matter how much Lord Chu ran attempts to soothe himself, it's too much. Turning to look at those celestial rank masters, he's pale and anxious in the face. Dramatic breakthrough. Chu Yi just couldn't help but twitch in the corner of her mouth over her old man's expression. It's not reliable, and the consequences of such a blunder would mean a long river of blood today on this island. Lord Chu ran. Do you feel it? It's then by Chong Feng of the medicine sect, spoke from the rear, the grandpa's face showing heaviness on the surface. This question startled the Holy Lord, but his furrowed brow quickly turned to amazement after he sensed it as well. Why is the spirit particles in the air so much stronger than before? Under normal circumstances, Lord Chu Ran would have long noticed this drastic change in the air if his attention wasn't so focused on the attackers outside the barrier. This wasn't normal. Heck, it's at the level of shocking even. That's how dense the air felt around them. Fast. Quickly cultivate. After his initial shock, he immediately commanded. This must be by Yan's doing inside the miracle. We must take advantage of this and train while it lasts. Not saying another word, the Holy Lord immediately got to the floor and went into a meditative pose, allowing his skin and pores to take in all of the energy floating around the air. Others also followed suit after seeing this. Naturally, the improvements in this amazing opportunity would depend entirely on their own efforts, but it's going to be high when the air was so thick with energy. Meanwhile, back outside the barrier, Yuan Xiao and his fellow attackers were flabbergasted by the actions of those inside. It didn't make sense why someone would start training in a time like this when their lives are about to be sniffled out. These people, did they go mad because of fear? He Lu almost fell into tears from his own laughter. It's mocking and disgusting. Do they really think a few minutes or hours of training is going to make up the difference? We have several celestial rank cultivators here. They must be truly desperate that any idea is a good one now. Swoosh, but the ignorant and foolish are always going to be taught why they are wrong. Right as he's thrown the mockery out there, a gusting storm promptly gathered above their heads, shocking and causing Yi Lu to pop his eyes out in disbelief. Isn't this a bit ridiculous and easy? How can they make a breakthrough on the last minute? Then before their eyes could register this reality, a series of beaming pillars of lights rose from several individuals from within the barrier, showering the world in a rainbow assortment of colors. What's going on here? Grim in his face, Yuan Xiao asked his men with a tense pace in his breath. If it was only a single person, then it can still be a coincidence, but there's so many at once. It can't be. This holy land still has a trump card up its sleeve? Back over in the heart of this lake island, those who were trying to make a breakthrough, this includes many of the disciples and elders, had automatically blocked off the noises from the outside world. They're urgently trying to advance and didn't want anything getting in the way of their focus. Of the many who were doing so, the first to come out of the trance-like state was by Chong Feng of the medicine sect. The old grandpa appeared mighty sharp in that moment when he opened his old eyes. Dramatic breakthrough, too. The old leader of the medicine sect was already on the brink of hitting the limit on what a monarch-rank cultivator could reach thanks to the essence he got from Bai Yin. But now, through the help of this dense level of spirit particles, he's able to exceed his limit and directly hit the saint rank in one go. Lord Chu Ran and Chief Wu Wei were both getting anxious, of course, after witnessing the old bastard's achievement in one-upping themselves. They've been competing all their life. There's no way the other two are going to let one get ahead of the other. Yilu literally wanted to slap himself at this point after witnessing that scene. Elder Yuan, what is wrong with these people? Why are they making a breakthrough now and not another day? This is unrealistic. Incredulous, very apparent in his voice. Damn it, what is going on here? This can't be right. As if reading the arrogant man's thought, Lord Chu Ran and Chief Wu Wei also made a breakthrough just then, causing a flurry of storms to form above their heads. It's huge, easily enough to call this phenomenon a typhoon, because trees on the ground were quickly being ripped upwards and bouldering rocks flew away like little pebbles. Sir, if my guess is not wrong, someone must have opened up the miracle already. After some speculation, Yuan Xiu echoed out some of what the other celestial realm masters were thinking. Those people must be tapping into that power and using it to their advantage. Showing horror in his eyes, Yilu flew into a rage. Who dares? How dare they touch the power in there without permission? Though the Spirit Lord didn't openly relay the truth to the public regarding their main objective, but since this force was in charge of the invasion, it's normal for Yuan Xiu and the eldest son to know of the goal. What they didn't expect, though, was someone making a move for the treasure ahead of themselves today. Waste. This is a true waste of such treasure. If their breakthroughs are the result of the miracles, then it can only mean the power will diminish for every person that uses it. Damn these insects. How dare they use what rightfully belongs to us? Yuan Xiu exclaims, aching in the heart over the sight as well. In other words, only by using it on themselves from the spirit realm would said resource not be tarnished and wasted. What's the use of you saying so much now? Yilu sounded distressed and grits his teeth. Hurry and go break the seal before it's too late. Kill them all before they stain what belongs to us. Since he's the eldest son of the Spirit Lord, a very likely candidate of becoming the next ruler of the spirit realm, Yilu firmly believes everything in the human world now belongs to him. So, how could he not get angry when others are defiling his property? Boom! Under the combined assault of these celestial rank cultivators, a crack has begun to form across the surface of the barrier. Naturally, the sight elated the invaders once they realized the effectiveness of their attacks. If it is 100 years ago, maybe then we wouldn't be able to break this thing. Too bad for those inside. It's degraded after so long. Everyone, muster every ounce of strength you have left. We're almost there. A couple of more hits should do it. Combing his snow-white beard with his finger, Yuan Xiu sounded very pleased with the results and firmly threw another punch with the fist. More cracks appeared again like the senior claimed, indicating the barrier would soon give like shattered glass if nothing was done from the inside. Lord Chu Ran, furrowing, by Chong Feng of the medicine sect mutters in a low-pitched voice in order to not alarm the nearby disciples. I believe the barrier won't last very long at this rate. We must look for another way. Chu Ran shook his head, that smile bittersweet in understanding. I know what you mean, but this is already my last trump card. There's no other plan in place. Dramatic breakthrough. 3. Chief Wu Wei's expression didn't look so well after hearing that. Shooting a glare at the Holy Lord. If I had known you are this useless, then I wouldn't have allowed the Lan family members to be placed here. They might as well have gone to the Abyss Forest instead. That would have been more secure. If they are killed because of our mistake, then how am I supposed to explain it Yenner's face? Yin Feng, by Yan's father, was also present to hear all this. Though the man didn't speak, his own frown was very deep on that handsome face. I still haven't found my wife yet, so I can't die in a place like this. At the very least, not until Ninger comes back. Exactly then, a huge rumbling roar interrupts their bickering from the foot of the mountain. It's powerful and frightening, causing everyone to involuntarily shudder from their hearts out. Leading the charging horde were two individuals, a majestic white tiger with a king word on its forehead, and a young mischievous girl that rode on its back. The tiger was none other than Little Rice, the rascal of a glutton that has always been by the little steambun side, while the girl was none other than Di Shaowan, the demon princess. Yilu instinctively took a step back while that face showed dismay. Elder Yuan, what is going on here? Although this arrogant lord of the spirit realm said he's not afraid of the demon realm's power, but when confronted with the ferocious-looking white tiger and the thousands of monsters at its back, his true feelings immediately leaked. He's gulping, and he's terribly pale in the face. And as if that presentation wasn't enough to scare the daylights out of the invaders, a booming thunder suddenly rocked the sky, and in descended a beautiful blue dragon of immense size. Its body was very thin like a fair maiden's, yet the aura this creature gave off demanded respect and awe when met. Of course, a single dragon couldn't be called a grand entrance now, would it? After the first ascended, hundreds more quickly followed, making it into a small horde of pure dragons instead of a mishmash of various demonic beasts. Di Shaowan, Chu, needed no effort to recognize her friend's presence that's riding the white tiger's back, ripping into her old man's sleeve with excitement in that voice. Father, quick, withdraw the barrier. Tied between listening and following his instinct, Lord Chu ran how to spell out the doubt outwardly. You really want to withdraw the barrier? Di Shaowan is Di Song's sister. The girl's words instantly silenced her old man this time. Who's Di Song? He's the king of the entire demon realm, the lord and master of all demonic beasts under his rule. Mustering a force in the range of millions was no exaggeration, and he's seen firsthand how quickly that man could call upon that power in the Misty Fairy House. Chief Wu Wei of the Misty Fairy House didn't need no urging either, exclaiming in excitement at the news of reinforcement. Fast, quickly withdraw the barrier. Rescue is here. Unexpectedly, though, once the barrier around the island was withdrawn, the dense, rich spirit particles around the area didn't disperse around the surrounding environment and kept hovering above their heads. Grayer! Little Rice released a shockwave of a roar as he rushed for Chu Yi's location. Perhaps it's the new and enlarged look of the little glutton's appearance. But the girl in question apparently didn't recognize who the tiger was and just stood there frightened and cluelessly. Then again, Little Rice's ferocious appearance did strike fear into the masses. Careful! Chu Ran exclaims in great fright over his daughter's safety. Dramatic breakthrough, for, to no avail, the distance between the two were just too close for the girl's father to act. Before Lord Chu Ran could take action to protect his own daughter, the tiger's body was already in front of the girl's face. Why is this tiger attacking me? I didn't do anything. All frantic and confused, the Holy Land's princess kept asking herself in that frozen state. That was until a warm and icky feeling overcame her woes and knocked her out of that sluggish state. Ew. Blinking in dismay as she rubbed her slobbered cheek free of that saliva, Chu Yi stared in wide at the white tiger wagging its tail. Your Little Rice? After a good while of examination and disbelief, the princess eventually came to terms inwardly that this giant of a ferocious feline was indeed the very same cute pet that has always been by Yan's side. The main issue was that murderous aura and powerful muscle. It's nothing like the previous version. Continuing to wag his tail. I've grown up now, so of course you don't recognize me. Anyways, where's my mistress? Why isn't she here? I've missed her death. Little Rice? Eyes of all those present were now firmly locked onto the huge tiger's body, their faces showing incredulous and disbelief. This big guy is Little Rice? How come he's grown so much in only a few short months? Lord Chu Ran asks with surprise still apparent in his voice. Puckering his lips to one side, the glutton of a tiger explains like a little baby. That's because my strength has increased, so of course my body will also grow bigger. This new me is my real form. Lamenting a sigh, Chu Yi find this truth to be a real shame and pats the tiger's head. I prefer your former smaller self. It's much lovelier. The way you are right now is too scary. Scary is good. That way those dirty whores will stop coming to make trouble for my mistress. Huffing a snort, Little Rice was all grumpy at the very thought of those women who made trouble for them before. Lan Xiaoyun is here as well. Recognizing her other friend from among the crowd, the demon princess lights up in the face and ran over to pat the girl's shoulder. It's been a while, Xiaoyun. How have you been? It's true that they haven't seen each other for a while now. The last time would be at the medicine sect, and since then their squad of earth-shattering triple threes been separated till this day. Are you a demon? Asked Lan Xiaoyun with curious eyes at her friend. No wonder, this explains it all on why Xiaochun can command all those demon beasts. His old man's the boss of the demon realm. That means Baiyan won't be harmed by anyone anymore. If I'm not wrong, you are the princess of the demon realm? Yuan Xiao of the spirit realm suddenly asked from the enemy's line. Huffing a grunt, Di Xiao, one didn't give the old senior any face. You old thing got a lot of nerve, touching my sister-in-law's relatives. Just wait until my brother comes. He will definitely make you all suffer defeat. Changing in his face over that remark, Yuan Xiao thought the princess was absolutely crazy. However, regardless of his own dissent and dissatisfaction, he's not blatant enough to openly display the feelings inside of himself. Princess, this is a misunderstanding. It's a misunderstanding. The senior wanted to make a few more excuses, but his efforts were in vain because the arrogant and pompous Yilu had become infuriated over that previous comment. Nothing but a princess of the demon realm. How dare you flaunt in front of the prestigious me? If you touch so much as a single one of us here, we of the spirit realm will immediately take allegiance to the celestial realm. By then it will be on two fronts that your forces have to contend with. It's over for you animals. Reddening from her own brewing anger, Di Xiaowan grinds her teeth as she spoke indignantly. Little Rice, go bite him to death. Dramatic breakthrough. 5. Don't assume just because Little Rice's figure was relatively large that he couldn't move fast. He's not. Like a lightning bolt, he pounced for Yilu's annoying face in an attempt to bite at the man. Yuan Xiao was in big shock at the sudden attack, of course. Even if he disliked this master of his, but the man was still the spirit lord's only son. As such, he could only hurry over in time to take the hit. Bang! Fangs piercing his shoulder, blood promptly dyed the old senior's cloth in red. This tiger is a celestial rank, he exclaims with a sharp breath over the stinging pain. Elder Yuan, no matter how strong this white tiger is, he's only one individual. Look at us, we have over 5 on our side. What are you being afraid of for? Yilu sneered at the sight, holding no care for the fact that the old senior suffered damage in his stead due to the words he spouted. In response, the blue dragon in the sky roared again after that comment, her figure gradually transforming into a slim, beautiful young lady. Now not even the arrogant man of the spirit realm could remain unfazed anymore. With every step taken by Tsing Yi from the air, his complexion would grow whiter like an oppressive beast staring down at its prey. You're wrong, it's not just White Tiger who is at the celestial rank. I too have broken through before coming. As for the part about having more forces, cocking a smirk that could stir hearts, I think our forces of 100,000 is more than enough to contend with the likes of you here. Don't you agree? Squinting his eyes in, Yilu didn't expect this dragon to be a celestial rank too. But, so what if this dragon is a celestial rank? I brought over 5 in total. Elder Yuan, we've already offended the demon realm anyways. There's no need to hold back here, kill them all. Once we've done that, we can immediately split into the celestial realm. Not like these animals can go up against that power. They're the celestial realm's underdog to begin with, plus they've fallen for over 1,000 years. There's no way they can be an opponent. Yuan Xiao sighs heavily. It seems that is the only option left for us. Princess of the Demon Realm, don't blame us for being ruthless. It's your side who is being a nosy body. Grower, Little Rice grows menacingly. Quit yapping so much nonsense. Even if you bunch don't move, I will still tear you all to pieces today. At that, his claws promptly swept at the old senior's face again. Yuan Shio didn't want to take another hit like earlier, of course, and resisted the attack with his sword this time around. Sadly, it not only didn't deflect the swipe, it ended up being slashed into two by the little glutton's claw. Understanding the situation wasn't faring well for their leader, the other celestial rank masters immediately took action and attacked from the side. Tsing, it wasn't going to sit idly from one side after seeing this either. So, brandishing her own green blade, she joins in on the fray from her angle. However, unlike the others who had been at this stage for a long time, the lady was still new to this level of combat and could only do so much with her dance of emerald lethality. Little Rice, I can't hold these people for long. Hurry and finish that old thing and come help me, she yells after deflecting one of the slashes from her foe. The little glutton naturally wouldn't relax right now. Pressing his claw harder against the remaining half of Yuan Shio's blade, they soon heard a sharp cracking sound, and the last bit of that sword was shattered, leaving only the handle behind. Dramatic breakthrough 6. Under a loud, impacting blow, a huge pit was firmly pressed out of the ground from where Yuan Shio stood just seconds ago before he dodged backwards. Even so, the trickle of sweat coming out of the senior's forehead gave evidence of how unnerved he felt over that swipe. That would have crushed me if I didn't jump back in time. Not letting up, Little Rice rushes up again after the first failure. This time, though, he's not going to let his slap miss. And sure enough, it hit and sent the old fella spinning with stars flashing across the eye. Quit playing with him, Little Rice. I need your help, and these people just won't die no matter how many times I beat them down. Turning around, Ching Yi screams with urgency in her voice after smacking another one of her opponents away. This finally stopped the playful tiger from toying with his foe like a cat, speaking in a contemptuous manner. So what if you had reached the celestial rank before me? Us demons are inherently more powerful than humans of the same level. That means I can whip your ass single-handedly by myself. Dashing over like a lightning bolt, his huge body once again slammed against Yuan Shio from the back and causes the senior to go tumbling forward until he smashed into the huge peach tree up ahead. Sir, run. Hurry and run away. Fear very apparent in his old eyes now. Yuan Shio screams for the arrogant man to flee. Naturally, of course, he needed no urging on a matter like this. After all, it's his own life that's on the line. Unfortunately for him, though, the man didn't make it very far before being surrounded by the demonic beasts that came with the horde. Bump, 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 bump. As if impressed by Little Rice's playful heart, the rest of the demons began tossing the guy around like a soccer ball. First was a cheetah back, kicking the fella in the butt. Then came a rhino that literally horns slapped the guy in the ribs so he would fall into the mud. It's humiliating and painful, nevertheless non-lethal. For those from the spirit realm, these people wanted to rescue the young lord upon witnessing the humiliation. Sadly, with as much as tens of thousands of demons surrounding their path, it was futile. Before long, they too had become nothing but food or lumps of flesh when the fangs and claws shred into their existence. Lord Chu Ran reacted immediately there and covered his own daughter's eyes with one hand. This is not something for a little girl to see. Close your eyes and turn away. Chu Yi didn't agree with her old man's opinion, though. Brushing the obstruction away, she gave the protective father a warning stare before running off to Di Xiao Wan's side in the front. The two were looking at the gory mess with delighted fascination, a clear sign of intrigue. This nearly brought the Holy Lord to tears as his face turned grimfully dark. Why do I get the feeling my daughter is really into this kind of stuff? No, this won't do. A girl only needs to stay at home. She shouldn't be at the forefront in the center of battle. Yuan, puking out a mouthful of blood after coming back to his senses, Yuan Shio felt desperate and deeply in pain over Helu's pitiful state of becoming a soccer ball. You can't hurt him. He's the future lord of our spirit realm. Exasperated in his voice, the senior cries out with an increasingly flushed face. "Let him go this instant." Tilting his head in confusion, Little Rice sounded perplexed by that statement and commented, "What's so great about that deadbeat? If he was in the demon realm, he'd be the type that would be killed within 3 days. Demons believe in strength, and for those that lack it, they're no better than garbage that's tossed aside." Refinement success when, in Little Rice cocks a hair-raising grin. "Your soul looks pretty yummy, can I eat your soul?" His meaning was very simple. Your soul looks like a delicious dish, so can I eat you? PFFFF. Spewing blood from the damnable question, Yuan Xiu became blinded by anger and threw himself at the white tiger. The following punch contained everything he's had. In fact, the air whistled against the swing like it contained infinite power. "You all deserve to die." With this roar, the old senior promptly came before Little Rice's face as he slammed that fist of a punch into that furry flesh. Boom! This had the direct effect of sending the little glutton back several feet. Sadly, it was for naught once the tiger locked eyes on the senior. It's mocking and poking at the foe for fun. There's good reason for that sort of reaction, in which he showed, of course. Little Rice could tell that the punch contained everything the old grandpa had, and based on the following exhausted and near-collapsing look from Yuan Xiu, it's clear who's won now. Licking his paw, the little glutton slowly came before the prey and swiped down again for the 3rd time. Unlike before, though, it made a direct slash across that chest and allowed his claws to cut out the heart from within. No word of resistance came from Yuan Xiu when he met his end. Simply said, the old man was at the last straw even before the final strike. With his heart gone, what remains were a lifeless corpse that has had its last strand of life ripped from within, leaving the blood to freely flow forward and staining the dirt. Then, as if pleased with his own deed, Little Rice went ahead to swipe again with his paw at the air above the corpse. This time around, though, a transparent mass like that of souls seems to be ripped out from within. The remaining 4 celestial ranked masters didn't miss this sight despite contending with Qing Yi at the time. Immediately, all of them felt a frightening chill running through their spines and made their faces shower with fear. He actually ripped a human soul out? This is too atrocious. Exchanging looks between themselves, all 4 promptly abandoned their fight with the dragoness and made a turn for the original direction in which they came from. As for the demon beasts that wanted to block them, they were instantly turned to mincemeat under their sword's might. This infuriated Little Rice the moment he turned around in response to the sound. He couldn't accept the fact that someone would dare make a killing of his kind before his face, hence the quick retaliation. And since it's him and the dragoness combining forces, the job of subduing the 4 were easily completed without fail. You humans have a lot of courage, daring to go against us demons. Your crime is unforgivable. Flicking his claw, the sharp nail of the tiger easily sliced through one of the man's throat and created an opening for that pure red fluid to seep into ground. Of course, Little Rice didn't let go of the man's soul either. No matter what the individual was of the celestial rank, it's a great compliment to his own growth. After that, Qing Yi also finished off her targets in succession and brought their souls before the gluttonous tiger. Here's your tonic. Not being polite, Little Rice picks them up and swallowed the souls whole in one huge gulp. Note, tonic in Chinese doesn't exactly mean the same as the English word. Think of it as a booster that doesn't matter if it's a liquid or solid, or soul in this case. In the beginning, it was Di Tsang who forced the fella to ingest his first soul and felt very disgusted by the feeling. However, he soon discovered the benefits of ingesting other soul and quickly adapted to the new form of intake. Refinement success, too. Now, without Di Tsang's coercion, Little Rice would automatically look for souls to consume. How come I feel like this tiger has changed in some way? Lord Chu Ran of the Holy Land instinctively twitched in the corner of his mouth after seeing how much the fellow was enjoying that soul. It's not like the Holy Lord was overthinking the matter. Prior to Little Rice's huge growth, the guy wouldn't even touch raw meat, let alone eat a human soul. Thankfully, the glutton could distinguish between friend and foe, making the matter unimportant. Little Rice, You go drag that whatever master of the spirit realm over to me. Di Xiao Wan commands with her chin cocked in the air. Giving a proper howl, the tiger quickly rushed in front of He Lu's unconscious self and bit down at the arm, dragging him over to the princess using this manner. As a result of that rough treatment, a trail of blood was left soaking in the dirt. Hey! Sounding disgusted by the taste, Little Rice tosses the sack of meat from his mouth. Di Xiaowan very much agrees with her friend's assessment of this person. To add her own sin in there, she stomps down at the rib and causes immense pain from the injured until he woke up in a flail. Hurry and save me, Elder Yuan, he cries out with urgency after coming back to reality. Snorting at the outcry, Little Rice blows an unhappy grunt from his nose. Quit crying. That old thing is dead, and his soul has become my food, so no one is going to come save you. Elder Yuan is dead? Impossible. He is a celestial rank cultivator. Even if he isn't a genuine one that advanced through his own means and was done by Father himself using the secret arts, but the old fart is still equal to that level. How can he die so easily? You're lying. Elder Yuan cannot have died. Plus there are others from the spirit realm. They will save me. In a panic, He Lu shouted the only thought that came to mind. Little did he know that the next remark from the other side would send him down into hell itself. If you don't believe us, then look over there. Their remaining carcasses are stacked into a mound. It's just right behind yourself. Little Rice cruelly points to the scene in front with his body gesture. Almost like a robot, He Lu mechanically swings his head around, as instructed. In a flash, the picture of countless roughly consumed body parts was displayed before his very eyes. It's heart-wrenching and painful for the once arrogant man. Of course, it's not like He Lu had any sort of compassion for his former subordinates. It's because he knew what this implied for his own fate. It's not looking good, and he's a coward that doesn't want to die. No! Despair fills him as he cried the word out, tears slowly trickling down that fear-stricken face. Weren't you being very arrogant just now about slaughtering the demon realm? Di Xiao Wan casts a ridiculing smirk at the despairing man. I'll give you a chance now to kill me. That's if you dare. A shudder completely overtakes He Lu. Turning his gaze upward at the smiling princess, an unnerving chill runs through his spine until it reaches into the heart. Kill her. Quit joking. If I so much as make a single move, then that tiger will rip into me and swallow me whole. Your Highness, I was blind and stupid. Please spare me. Biting his lip, the once proud young master of the spirit realm began to bang his head against the dirty ground. Due to the injury he sustained, plus the amount of force he's using there, blood quickly began to come out of his forehead and making him look all the more miserable. Refinement success 3. There's irony in the demon princess' eye as she spoke. How stupid can you be? Attacking my sister-in-law while my brother is away. That's how you ask for mercy? If I let you go now, then the one to die next is me. If brother finds out I let the one behind the attack leave unscathed, then he will break my body. So, for my own life and to cover my own ass, I must make these people pay. At the thought of covering her own hide, Di Xiao Wan promptly swung her face around with the sweetest smile. Dear grandpas, everything is all right now. I've solved the main issue already. I bet you're all still very scared, so go ahead and rest. I will have a bunch here clean up with my men. Relaxing in his expression over that comment, Bai Chongfeng give his own beard a comb before speaking in an appeased manner. How come your brother didn't come with you? That. He went into the secret domain in search of Xiaqin. Now I am in charge of watching over the demon realm and protecting sister-in-law. Scanning her surrounding after that reply, the princess was quickly deflated after not finding the familiar figure in which she sought. Where's my sister-in-law? Bai Chongfeng falters for a second. She's inside the miracle. That answer actually made the sack of meat on the floor look up right away. He Lu had his suspicion that someone has taken the miracle prior to their arrival. Now it just confirms the idea and indicated their spirit realm no longer has a chance for the treasure. Understanding that much, the once arrogant man hangs his head low again, not wanting to attract further attention from Di Xiao, Wan, or anyone for that matter. Then I'll stay here and wait for her until she comes out again. I can't risk having other idiots come in to make trouble for sister-in-law while she's inside. Reminded by her own words, the demon princess promptly glared down at the sack of meat with menacing eyes. Little Rice, shred this bastard into pieces for me. I don't want to see him ever again. Ilu nearly peed himself as he shot his face upwards in horror. No, but before the man could cry out his objection, a paw had already come swinging over and sent him flying out. Then before that spinning figure could make an impact from being thrown so far, a white blurry flash had come before his face and pierced into the chest where the Dantian core was located. Clack, with his core shattered. Ilu was no different from an average person at this point. It's equivalent to a death sentence anyways if there are no others to protect him forward. Along the way, I saw the aftermath of what these thugs from the spirit realm did. They slaughtered thousands, including children and women. Although we managed to solve the crisis and save many, but the dead and wounded won't change. I bet they would love to tear into these criminals who committed the heinous crime of taking their loved ones away, far more than whatever we could do to them. Little Rice suggests after his act of crippling the prey. It's not that the tiger had a heart of gold. Rather, he's just not interested in anyone not of the celestial rank. The soul wasn't going to help his growth, and the flesh on this bastard wouldn't taste good either. Okay, Di Shaowan nods. Then watch over him carefully. I don't want those from the spirit realm coming over to rescue him when we're not noticing. No problem. Leave this matter to me. Patting his furry chest, Little Rice proudly proclaims his assurance and bit down at the man's leg. His treatment was rough and uncaring when dragging the bastard away. It has to be said, though, this Ilu sure has a strong level of endurance in that body of his. Even after losing so much blood, he's still alive. Sing, ye dragoness, you go too. All smiles, the princess pricks her brow like she's thought of something sneaky. I alone am enough while waiting for sister-in-law. Truth was, the girl wants to be the first one to welcome by Yin when she comes out of the miracle. This way her image would rise another notch. And that meant more leverage when asking for help against that mean old brother of hers. Refinement success, for Sing he wasn't like the gullible Little Rice. She could easily see through the princess's intent. Smiling there, all right. With the two leading general of their horde gone, the remainders had also stopped in their tearing of the dead bodies and came before Di Shaowan for further instruction. As for you all, stroking her chin in a contemplative manner, go patrol the area around the Holy Land. We've captured the young master of the spirit realm, so that side wouldn't do nothing. If any of you find sighting of the enemy, come inform me immediately. Yes. The horde answers in unison, causing an instantaneous shockwave to rock this land. Fortunately, the crowds of demonic beasts were willing to leave right after giving their reply. Otherwise, the residences here would be quite afraid for their own lives. Furthermore, it appears this other side of the demon princess has won over many of the male disciples present. Their eyes showed admiration and a sense of love towards the girl. Princess. Finally, a handsome young man decides to muster up his courage to come forward. Shy in his voice. Thank you today for the help. May I invite you for a meal tonight? Sparkling in her eyes now, Di Shaowan didn't think anything wrong of this idea and responded in kind. What would you like to eat? The young lad gave a shy nod to act all gentlemanlike. There's a restaurant outside the Holy Land in the city below. We could try their medicinal stewed chicken. I heard it's very delicious and is often crowded with patrons. I know the owner, so I can help us skip the line and directly take you inside. Now the princess's eyes were shining like the sun. She has always been a victim of delicious food, so it's her one irresistible weakness. So, when are we leaving? She had on a look of urgency and anticipation, which brought hope to the lad's face. Others who had similar ideas were quite envious of their peer right now. If they had known it would be this easy to invite the girl out for a date, then they too would have stepped forward. In the end, it's cowardice that caused them to miss this opportunity. Feng Xiaoling, what are you trying to do? Chu Yi saw how easily the sweet Dumbaklutz was being kidnapped away and decides to step in. I'll warn you, don't hit on her, or I'll let my father know and kick you out of the Holy Land right now. That warning worked as expected and stopped the one known as Feng Xiaoling in his tracks. The poor lad was trembling and didn't dare to speak another word. And you, Di Xiaowan. Chu Yi had wanted to start reprimanding her friend when Lord Chu Ran suddenly tugged at his own daughter's sleeve, making a dry cough. She is the princess of the demon realm, and by Yan's her sister-in-law. But before the Holy Lord could even finish his sentence, the heated girl had brushed the hand away and continued to stare angrily at her friend. It's the look of someone being harsh and disappointed. Just because he asked you doesn't mean you should say yes. Do you know what he intends to do? When strange men come near you, the first thing you should do is to distance yourself lest they kidnap you with some food. Giving a harumph, the one known as the Little, which just turned into the protective mother hen of their group. That comment completely scared the daylights out of Lord Chu Ran. If he didn't know the identity of his sweet Dumbaklutz, then it would still be fine. But he did, and that meant precaution was of the utmost importance here. Shame, though, if only the man knew of the past. Then he would have passed out right then and there. The reasoning? Back when the two girls met, they had fought against each other. What are you being angry with? Staring blankly at her old man's steaming face, the girl apparently didn't understand what she did wrong and went back to her friend. I'll go with you instead. What do you want to eat? Don't forget, we're the earth-shattering 333. If you're going anywhere, then it's with us. Earth-shattering 333? Chu Ran shot a disbelieving stare at his own daughter's back. Why does this title sound so appalling? Refinement success, 5. Okay. All gleeful in her eyes, Di Xiaowan happily answers, I want to eat that herb chicken pot he mentioned. When presented delicious food, the princess would be willing to endure anything coming out of her snappy-mouthed friend. Heck, the girl even forgot about her initial scheme of being the first to welcome Bai Yin once she's out again. That's how much she loves eating. But I still miss the pastry shop you took me back in the Luhua Kingdom the most. When are we going back there? Biting her finger, Di Xiaowan just couldn't find anything remotely as good as that establishment. There will be opportunities in the future. Grabbing her demon friend, Chu Yi then dragged out Lan Xiaoyan before flying themselves out of the Holy Land for the nearest city. Chu Ran watched this entirely from the back and had on a dull face. Why do I have a sensation that something bad is going to happen? Bai Chong Feng of the medicine sect also had the same idea, just that the old bearded grandpa didn't want to say it aloud. Chu Ran may not know it, but he clearly did regarding the level of damage Di Xiaowan could produce simply by herself. It's not lacking in comparison to the little witch of the Holy Land, and together they form a danger of unprecedented level. Di Xiaowan is the demon realm's princess. Nothing will happen, so stop worrying. Despite his true feelings, the medicine lord decides to go against his own consciousness and not warn his counterpart. Instead, he starts throwing comforting words like it's no problem, knowing full well the sort of mess awaiting the poor guy. Relieved after hearing the lie. That's good. That's good then. Every time he leaves my line of sight, she will always become a nuisance to every place she visits. Now I don't even dare to let her get that far away from me. At least there's the demon realm's princess with her. They shouldn't make any trouble during their venture. Now that things have been resolved, everyone should disperse as well. But remember what the demon princess said. There may be people from the spirit realm coming to investigate since their young lord is captured. Best stay here in the Holy Land for the next while. I will have my people prepare the rooms. Showing a frank smile, Chu Ran offers the idea to the others after returning to his old self. The crowd naturally knew what the Holy Lord was worried about, so the offer was quickly accepted by everyone. Chief Lan, Bai Chong Feng of the medicine sect, turns his attention to the other grandpa. Now that we don't need to hide on this holy island anymore, do you want me to send for the remainder of the Lan house from the abyss? That would be wonderful. The stubborn old grandfather happily obliges. Thank you, Lord Bai. Haha. Don't thank me. This is what I should do for the favors your family gave Yinner. Bellowing out a laugh, the medicine lord tries to smother his own sense of worry with a happy facade. I just don't know when Yinner will come back out. Suddenly, all eyes are focused back on the bronze gate nearby. There's a hint of expectation in those irises, likely regarding the level of growth that would come of her return. At the same time, within the pocket dimension, thundering lightning poured down like raindrops, covering, and pounding away at by Yan's frail-looking body. It's incredibly frightening due to how massive the shockwave was from each blast. However, the height of this trial hasn't even begun to reach its peak. This was just the beginning. Boom! A gigantic bolt of thunder suddenly boomed down at the cauldron, its appearance like that of an ancient serpent trying to devour whatever it struck. Good thing my cauldron is made out of a special material, otherwise that blast just now would have shattered it to pieces. One pill, one celestial, one boom. It's unsure how long it's been since the last lightning strike hit her, but Bayin never once moved her eyes away from the shaky cauldron. It's extremal the refinement goes through smoothly during this period. If so much as a single mistake happens right now, the entire batch would be ruined, and she would have to start over. Minutes later, hours later, soon a faint fragrance could be found exuding out from the crack between the lid and the main container. Bayan's eyes lit up upon getting a whiff of the scent. Hurrying to remove the lid, she looks inside and found several crystal-clear beads sitting there ready for her to pick up. This may be my first attempt at this formula, but 5 in one attempt. That's not bad at all. Cleaning up the mess around herself, she gave one final meaningful glance in the direction of that black pool before heading towards the exit. On the Holy Island, a white light flashed into existence, and out came Yan's figure from within the bronze gate. And as if signaled by this, the door also disappeared following her departure and reformed into the 3 keys that landed into the woman's hand. Yan wasn't going to dump the 3 artifacts away, of course. She still had other things inside that she wishes to investigate, especially that black pool on a later date. Yenner. Suddenly, a happy and surprised call came from the front. Looking up, Yin immediately saw it was her own grandfather by Chongfeng of the medicine sect. The senior showed a smile as he slowly walked over from the distance. Grandfather, delighted as well over the familiar sight, Yin hurries forward in order to meet the senior halfway. You still haven't left the Holy Land? Giving a long sigh. After you went into the miracle, I and that Wu Wei did leave for our respective home. But something happened in these lands while you were away. Seeing the expression there, Yan's voice turned solemn. What happened? Bitterly smiling, the grandpa went ahead to explain the whole story. Not long ago, that slave you sent back to the spirit realm came to us with news. She said their forces are invading and intends to slaughter everyone on this piece of land. Narrowing her eyes and over that bit, a frosty coldness flickered within Yan's face. This spirit realm, they are indeed making a move. And then, she asks again with a dangerous glow. Then, Chu Ran had everyone come to the Holy Island, including the Lan family. We used the barrier around this place to protect everyone from those celestial rank cultivators. Just that. Chu Ran is simply unreliable. The barrier around the island couldn't completely fend off the attacks and nearly collapsed. Thankfully, Di Xiao Wan brought over a horde of demons with her in the nick of time. We were saved thanks to the help. Di Xiao Wan, blinking her eyes in startlement. But then where's Di Song? She said her brother is currently inside the secret domain, looking for Xiachen and is not in the demon realm. Because of that, he didn't get the news of the invasion. A long silence hung over the mother's heart upon hearing her son's name. Di Song went looking for Xiachen? It can't be. Something happened to my boy. While her heart trembled and those hands clenched with unease, a promise suddenly surfaced in her mind. It's the promise she shared with her husband, and that was trust. If Di Song said their son would be fine, then it's a wife's duty to trust her husband, at the very least, until he proves otherwise. So, Yin won't rush off in search of her son like she would in the past. Getting a little better in her complexion over the trust she held for the 2 males in her life, Yin controls her mood so it doesn't affect those here. Then where's Di Xiao Wan and the others? How come I don't see them here?